Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face. Ah!
And you are on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going, everyone?
It's going well. Hello, Mr. Harris.
It's going so good.
It's going so good.
Mrs. Achino, Maricino.
Yeah. Oh, it got
It is. It's me. It's Maricino.
It's
Maricino.
You're
I'm
Maricino
Alexis.
today? Yeah, that's Alexis.
That's Alexis.
I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
And we're the film majors. We did it backwards that time.
We did. It was nice.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, did you guys hear though?
What?
Here it is.
Oh, fuck you! No, I don't even want to do it anymore.
You
You
don't
can
even
have
wanna
it.
do
I
what?
don't care.
Come on, what is it?
No.
What is it?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
That's okay.
I'm not going to do I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do
No,
it either.
no, I don't want to do any of it.
Wait,
no,
hold on.
there's-
This whole episode should just be us not wanting to do it.
I'm not gonna.
I'm not going to.
I simply refuse.
The last time I did it, you guys made fun of me that it was forced in.
Yeah, you did a bad job.
Uncouth.
You did a bad job.
It was a bad
Yeah, no, I never know what's going on between you two.
Oh, hey!
Yeah.
That was good.
What?
High five.
What's
High
going
five.
on? We're in our famous
Wow.
segment.
Alexis, that was really smooth and buttery. I appreciated it.
Oh, thank
Damn.
you. Thank you.
Like a plant-based butter.
She thought she wasn't going to be able to do it, but she came back stronger
She came
than
back
ever.
strong. That's what I
Exactly.
think that whole thing was a part of the bit. I appreciated that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I
yeah,
like-
I love getting knocked down and back better than ever.
That's
Playing
right.
4D chess.
Yes.
Knockback.
4D chess. Like
4D
like
chess.
Chess with smell-o-vision.
Yeah. Stinky chess.
Beans.
Ugh.
So, film major listeners, I hope you're doing well.
Yeah. If you're new, hello.
If you're new, hello.
This
and
is
if
our
you're
famous
not new,
segment.
hello as well.
This is our famous segment. What's going on?
What's going on? That explains the music.
Yeah.
You probably thought you were being invaded by
You were like,
raiders.
what
of
is this?
Some battalion of some kind. But no, that's just the music from our episode.
You can relax.
You can relax. Put the gun down. It's okay. It's
You're safe.
just us.
You don't have to go out like that.
That's right.
of y'all.
Alexis, what's up?
Yeah, what's up in
What's
your life?
going on?
Let's talk about you for a minute.
Get the ball rolling.
It's been a minute since we talked.
I know. It's been like a week and a half. Actually, I'm really excited. This has finally been like a chill week. Like things are finally coming to a close with blueberry season.
Hell yeah.
No more fruity fruits. Which is, isn't that so sad? It's like blueberry season's coming to a close. Bye-bye all the fruits. Pride season's coming to a close. Goodbye to all the fruity fun on the podcast.
We're losing all the fruits.
Wow.
They're all
We're
getting
losing all
overripe.
the fruits all at the same time. I feel dejected.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
You know what? I'm glad she brought this up. I've kind of taken after you, Zach, and then also someone recently told me that eating eggs every morning like adds to your cholesterol. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do a fruit-only breakfast, and that's what I did. I had it with black coffee and fruit before my workout, and it's fantastic. I got the trots, but still, it was good.
The trots?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
like diarrhea.
Oh.
I mean, it's just a lot of
That's
sugar and
just-
fiber
okay,
and
all
just
right.
black coffee.
See, what I tend to do before I
Wow.
go to the gym is I do fruit,
You-
but I put a little bit of peanut
Yeah,
butter
yeah,
on a
you can
banana.
fucking get that
a little
peanut
bit
butter
of
up in
get a little
there.
bit of protein.
You go smooth peanut butter. Though. I'm a chunky boy. I like
All
the
right.
chunky peanut butter. Extra
Okay.
extra
I
chunky.
don't really want to
Good.
hear about your chunky peanut butter after
Not
you
one
just
bit.
talked about
Oh,
how
come
you
on,
had the
Alexis.
shits.
It's for the listeners.
It's for you. It's for you
It is.
and your sick, degenerate self. Don't act like this is for someone else.
It's the fans love it, man. Hey, I'm the only one on the,
The
show
fan is you.
that has gotten a fan letter from Zach's mom.
It's
so I
it's
feel
me with the
emboldened.
patootsies and it's Mick with the papootsies.
I almost went to a Papoose fan today, actually.
We seen any movies, guys?
No, I've been avoiding them at all
I went
costs.
to go see The Little Mermaid again.
Oh, okay.
We can't
Don't-
start
Zach,
another
don't-
episode
Zach, don't
talking
acknowledge.
about
Do
this.
not acknowledge that. We're going to move on from that.
You
What
see
else did
anything
you
else,
see?
Alexis?
Yeah.
I saw a couple of things, but I'm really excited to go see Past Lives this week because it finally came to Fresno. So it's finally coming to Fresno tomorrow.
I also
I've been
need to see
waiting.
that.
I've been checking for like weeks
I-
now to see like when it was coming.
I'm glad you brought that up. I watched that 2 days ago, and so good. It's up there with John Wick Chapter 4.
Wow.
Yes, And what I mean by that is, it's. I
John
think,
Wick Chapter 4 is still my number one of the year.
no,
Nothing has dethroned it yet.
don't get me wrong. John
I
Wick
feel
Chapter
like
4.
I'm huffing paint every time you guys bring it up.
You haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it, which means you feel high and euphoric. You're welcome. So basically, it's still my
That means
number
I'm
one.
blacking out.
But I feel like it gives you a good idea of my taste in film. That my two favorites of the year are Past Lives, which is a very calm and
Kind of an intimate story.
It's an intimate story. It's an indie. It's fantastic. It's a love letter to Manhattan. It reminded me of like Woody Allen's Manhattan or Annie Hall or When Harry Met Sally. It takes place over a long period of time. And it's also a freshman effort from a director.
Wow.
Bear in mind, she's done a TV show. But still, this is a film. I'm going to count that as a
First
freshman
feature,
effort.
yeah.
It is so good. It is so good.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And
Yeah.
then your other favorite of the year so far has been John Wick.
It has been John Wick Chapter 4.
Because it rules, and there's a gun
It's
that lights
fantastic.
people on fire. What's better?
Dragon's Breath,
That's
baby.
actually, there is a connection between John Wick Chapter 4 and one of the films we're talking about today. And I think that speaks
there?
to somebody's range.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. But we'll get into that
That's
later.
right. Laying the little nuggets of info right there.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a teaser.
All right.
Yes.
Well, so Mick, you saw Past Lives.
I saw Past Lives. I recommend it. Go watch it.
I saw 3 new releases since we last recorded.
And what were they?
I saw Asteroid City, Wes Anderson's new movie.
I saw that. I loved it. Go on.
I saw The Blackening, which was directed by Tim Story. And I saw... What?
That's his name. It's funny. Tim Story.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
It's like an ice cream guy's name, Cone or something.
You're an interesting guy.
Thank you. That's a line from Seinfeld. I wish I could take credit for it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
such
I
a
like you
good
less
joke.
now. So then the last one that I saw was the cinematic event of the summer.
You saw it without me.
I did.
Fuck.
No Hard Feelings,
Damn
starring
it.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Too late. My feelings are hurt.
And I would say, in terms of how much I liked all of them, it probably goes Asteroid City, No Hard Feelings, The Blackening. Brief thoughts. I thought The Blackening was a good enough comedy.
Yeah.
But Tim Story does not have any background with horror, and it really shows. It's not a good horror comedy. Tim Story, for those of you who don't know, directed the original 2 Fantastic Four movies. That's the only thing I know him
Never
from.
seen those.
I looked at his filmography. I was kind of surprised that this was the film that he chose to direct. But, if you wanted to watch something that centers around the Juneteenth holiday on Juneteenth, you could do worse than The Blackening. Solid
right.
movie. I was entertained, but didn't love it.
I still want to watch it.
No Hard Feelings is very funny, and I am thrilled to see that it outgrossed The Flash. The
fuck
movies
yeah.
are back. Jennifer Lawrence bringing back like raunchy R-rated comedy. God bless. Mid-budget,
Yeah.
made its money. I laughed a lot. There's one scene where, mild spoilers, Jennifer Lawrence rampages around in the nude, gets an uppercut straight to the pussy, and
Yeah.
then clotheslines a teenager.
That's awesome.
Choke slams them into the dirt.
I was driving and I heard on the radio, they were talking about that
I
on the
love
radio,
that.
that she does a full frontal.
Yeah. It's
That's great.
clearly a script
I-
that she believed in. She's friends with the writer-director.
Nice.
I really love Jennifer Lawrence just like as a person when she does her press tours. I'm always like so entertained by just her personality. Like her on Hot Ones, the
Great.
the cut together, hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah, and she hadn't done a movie for like
Yeah.
She hasn't done a movie for a while.
Yeah, prior to Causeway last year, she took like 4 years off.
She kind of Joseph
Yeah,
Gordon-Levitt
well, she had
herself.
a baby too.
Oh, she
you?
did?
I didn't know that.
Well, congratulations, Jennifer
Congratulations,
Lawrence.
Ms.
Oh,
Lawrence.
my gosh.
But yeah, the kid who, I mean, he's not a kid, he's in his 20s, but her co-star, Andrew Barth Feldman, so funny.
I knocked.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have tried harder.
Yeah, you should have tried harder. We've got music going in the background. I don't think we clued in the in roommate that we were
Maybe
recording.
we should text him.
Yeah, I should probably text him.
The
I
roommate
happen to know that
is going clubbing right now. It sounds like.
that's someone. I won't say who, because I would never want to put them on blast like this. But they've seen The Flash like 3 times.
Oh, I am well aware.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I was like, no, don't give him your money.
Yeah, no, you don't need to encourage that kind of behavior.
No.
But then I also saw Asteroid City, which has jumped up right behind John Wick Chapter 4 as a favorite of the year. I love that Wes Anderson has made a movie that is fairly narratively inaccessible. And at a time when people are doing fucking stupid, like, AI-generated Wes Anderson videos.
Yeah.
Him proving that, no, you can't fucking do what I do.
Yeah.
What I do is...
I love his reaction to
Yeah.
that.
Like, yeah, you
He's
can't
like-
you can't make a robot
Yeah.
do what I do.
Wes Anderson said, "Stop sending me TikToks of people emulating my work because I will just not watch it. I won't do it."
I heard that he actually doesn't watch like mostly anything. He said that
Interesting.
he's like like
Well,
that's
you
what I
wouldn't know
heard.
it.
Like, I mean, like, it would make sense because his work is just so entirely his.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really see like other people's
Yeah.
like influences necessarily, and it really doesn't change really the essence of what he
Well-
does usually.
Well, I think you get plenty of influences with his work, but it's not usually to other filmmakers. It's like...
Well, that's what I mean.
It's like, yeah, other artists and stuff. Like, I forget the name of this famous German illustrator from the early 20s or some shit like that. And he made all these,
You
like,
mean the
kind of...
Expressionism era?
Not really. It's just kind of like these card cutouts that he was the one that basically invented the pop-up greeting card.
Oh, interesting.
And his design it's very Wes Anderson, and so much of his movies are like that. I saw Asteroid City as well on the big screen. So beautiful. It is such a beautiful movie. The miniatures, the Roadrunner puppet is so cute. The cast is amazing.
Jason Schwartzman's never been better.
He's so good.
He's fucking incredible.
The
in
way
this
he
movie.
delivers is
Yeah.
repeatedly like is his catchphrase. It's so good. I gotta disagree with you though, Zach, on Tom Hanks. Sometimes I think actors don't fit Wes Anderson's style. Sometimes, like, I'm going to put my favorite movie of his is Grand Budapest Hotel, which has the great Harvey Keitel in it. And I will go on record saying that Harvey Keitel's performance in that I don't love because it kind of it's kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's not quirky like everyone else. That's kind of where I'm at with Tom Hanks in this.
Interesting.
His performance is good.
I thought he slots in perfectly.
His performance is good. I don't know. He just kind of stuck out as being like, oh, it's Tom Hanks. Not because of his face, but because of the style in which he acts. Isn't quite as quirky. But that's just me.
I don't think
he was
you
still
need
great.
that for that part, though. I think that's much more of like a Gene Hackman and Royal Tenenbaums.
Yes, I suppose.
Kind of
one of my
role.
favorite parts, though, of the movie was Tom Hanks delivers a line saying, when Jason Schwartzman says, "I'm grieving," Tom Hanks retorts with, "So am I." And he says it, and it's a close-up shot of him, and you can see the pain in his eyes.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is a fucking good actor. But no, I really enjoy it. It's my favorite movie of his since Grand Budapest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Have you seen
I
it yet,
really
Alexis?
enjoyed it.
Nah, I just been too busy with work. Like, I've been
Fair
like
enough.
dying.
Yeah.
But my mom saw it. She's not really a Wes Anderson person, but so she was like, it was okay. I don't think she really enjoys his dialogue style necessarily. I think that might be part of what it is.
Yeah. You have to watch it twice, I think, because the information comes at you so quickly.
Yeah.
You don't glean everything in one go unless you take like an Adderall right before you watch it.
Sick. Yeah, go at 150.
No.
There you go,
Speaking
everyone.
of
You heard it here.
150, have you guys ever gone off-roading before? That shit is fucking terrifying.
Have you ever gone off
Never.
off-roading?
10 out of 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10 will not do that again.
Like in a car?
Like, not in a car, like in a 4-wheeler, like bigger than a golf cart, but like, you know, like with
an
the
ATV?
big wheels and stuff.
Or a gator.
Like a dune buggy kind of type.
Kind of, but like bulkier than that a little bit. I don't know, but that shit was wild. We'll never do that again. I felt like I was going to die the whole fucking time.
Oh, you might be... wait, hold on. Are you talking about a sand rail? Like the fast things? Like the in the dunes and shit like that?
No, because
it's got like
my
a
boss
metal
has
cage.
like...
Do you sit in like a metal cage?
Let's figure this out.
No, I want to do this because I love this.
All right, so it is. There's a metal frame, but there's no like full cage around it.
Yes.
That's a sand rail.
Yeah, that's a sand rail.
Okay, I don't do these things often. So,
I drove one of those last year.
Aren't they fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got stuck in the
no.
sand.
It is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like it?
Yeah, no, I definitely was. No.
Wait, don't you like roller coasters though?
I love roller coasters.
And so you are a thrill seeker, but you just didn't like this.
I'm a thrill seeker. I love the feeling of I'm going to die, but
Right.
I don't like the feeling of like, because it wasn't like on sand. We were like in the mountains, and there's like, you know, specifically like back roads that you can take for like off-roading and stuff up there.
Right.
Because my boss has like a house up at the lake up there, and oh my God. Well, it was him driving, you know, he was definitely going a little crazy, which I guess is the point of off-roading. And I don't know, maybe just as I get older, I feel less adventurous with my life.
Interesting.
Yeah,
also
no,
kind of
10 out of
ties
10.
into one of the movies we're
That's
talking
true.
about today.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Didn't love that. But I did actually watch a few other movies.
What did you watch, Alexis?
What did you watch? What did you?
I watched The Innocent, which was a French movie that was released, I guess technically last year at the Cannes Festival. But the director is Louis Garrel, and he also starred in the other movie that I watched. But The Innocent, 10 out of 10. That was so much fun. I did not expect where it was fucking going. Like, I don't know. The mom was like really unhinged, and it ended up being like this, like partially this heist movie. They incorporated like some acting and like, tapping into like emotional memory. And then like during this scene where like these two characters are, you know, they become kind of roped into the heist, and they're the distraction, and they're like having this conversation that's supposed to be keeping the attention of this trucker, and then them tapping into this emotional memory actually ends up like making them reveal their feelings to each other. And it was it was so comical though at the same time as serious as it was. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised. Like halfway through, I thought, oh, it's just going to be like, I thought I knew where it was going, and I just absolutely did not.
That movie got Alexis gassed up. We can see
it really did.
Yeah.
It really did. Because like I
step.
definitely like, yeah, I stopped it halfway through and then came back to it like the next day because I was like really tired, and I was like, oh shit, like I popped right back in, and then I was just like, oh my God, so in it. But it was nice. It was like this bookend, like it kind of began and it kind of ended in the same way that it began too. And I love it when movies do that.
Love it.
Yeah. And so then the other movie that I watched, I did like a triple feature, which included one of the movies that we're reviewing. So I watched The Dreamers, which was released in 2003, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, I think is his name. Bertolucci, and it stars Louis Garrel. It was actually the first movie I'd ever seen Louis Garrel in, and it kind of started this whole like, I love Louis Garrel thing in high school for me, and me watching like a bunch of French movies. But yeah, it's like this American student in France, and he's going to the Cinematheque, like, you know, all the time.
Classic.
And
Always trying to do that.
Yeah, classic. And he ends up meeting these two siblings, right? And he gets like invited over to their house. And anyways, it ends up being like this very strange throuple dynamic. But then there's also like, they play this game where they're constantly kind of like playing out scenes from like movies and like referencing them and like making them play like guess what it is, and if you don't guess it right then you get like a penalty, and it just kind of like ups the ante of their relationship with each other. So
you said in your review
fun.
that they intercut clips of the movies they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's old black and white movies that they intercut with this, and it takes place in the 1968. So all the movies are like basically like some anywhere between like 1932 to like, I don't know, 1950 something.
Nice.
Very cool.
Love it.
I read your reviews, Alexis, and it looked like a damn good triple feature.
Have to check that
It was
out.
so much fucking fun. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Nice. Well, Zach, have you seen anything else? I've seen something else. I don't know if I want to talk about it.
I saw one other thing.
What did you see?
Well, it's just, it's kind of a little indie movie.
Okay.
It kind of flew under the radar. But,
God.
at certain points, I do feel that it reached towering heights.
Oh, really? You mean it went sky high? Like, reached sky high?
Dun.
Dun. Dun, 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 dun.
It's getting closer.
I went to Jamba Juice today, and they played a radio trailer for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. It's incredible.
Were you getting pumped up in the Jamba Juice?
I was getting pumped
up.
up.
Were you doing a little dance?
I was doing a little dance, doing my little Tom Cruise dance from what's that movie?
Tropic Thunder?
No, the other one.
Risky Business.
Risky Business.
There it is.
Risky Thunder.
Oh. So we watched
Yes.
Mission
We watched
Impossible,
Mission Impossible
Ghost
Protocol.
the fourth installment in the Mission Impossible series, directed by Brad Bird, and
So good.
this is where the series
Love Brad
really
Bird.
starts to get the juice.
It does. It's something we talked about. Is partly what's so great about it is that it's right after Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a bad taste in your mouth. You're like, oh man, I'm a little maybe these Mission Impossible movies aren't as good as I thought they were. And then you watch Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and you're like, holy shit balls! This is what the movies are all about.
You're goddamn right.
This was his live action.
Yeah,
debut.
the first live action film that Brad Bird directed, and it was also
Incredible.
coming off of Tom Cruise having some pretty bad press
Jumping on the
during
couch.
during the War of the Worlds press tour. Yeah, people were kind of like, this guy
This guy's a little off.
seems like he's in a malignant cult and might be a psychopath. And then he responded by making this film,
Which, by the way, hasn't changed.
yeah, confirming
That
our
hasn't
suspicions
changed.
that he is in fact a lunatic. But using those powers to scale the world's tallest building on film.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's what got me excited for the franchise when that movie came out.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents were like, not going to see it because I told them, like, if you watch the trailer, like him jumping out of that building, like he actually did that. And my parents were like, he's insane. He has a death wish. Only a psychopath would do something like that. And I was like, yeah,
but that's
exactly.
a good thing. That's positive.
Exactly.
It's just so much fun. Like, both him and Brad Bird, like, clearly have a fucking huge chip on their shoulders and something to prove. And they fucking prove it. They made one of the most entertaining action movies of the past, 15 years.
And the team starts to come
Team's
together.
great. Paula Patton's awesome.
Patton.
She's fucking great. Her fight scene with Lea Seydoux.
Incredible.
The opening of the movie.
Incredible.
And Michael Giacchino's score.
Oh, so good. Light the fuse. So good.
So, this is a heavy recommendation on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
And Benji is now a field agent.
Yep, you got Simon Pegg
the
out
team's
in the
coming
field.
together. You get Jeremy Renner.
Okay.
Sorry. He's, I don't love him, but I kind of enjoy that.
I think he's good in the Mission
he is
Impossible
good.
movies.
That's the thing. He's good. But what I kind of like about it, if you recall, the climate kind of in which this came out is, you're right, Tom Cruise was having a little bit of a PR issue.
And Jeremy Renner was having a huge moment. He had been nominated for an Oscar back-to-back
right?
years. The Hurt Locker and also The Town.
That's right. So Jeremy Renner was hot business. And basically, he was coming in to perhaps save the franchise.
Yeah, this was also when he was being
so
positioned at the front of the Bourne franchise.
Yes, which is so entertaining to watch in hindsight, knowing how Tom Cruise was never going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, well, when Brad Bird came in, his first note on the script was, you're trying to write Tom Cruise. Your problem with your script is that you're trying to write Tom Cruise out of Mission Impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, he's I don't want to say it because it pops up in the next. Well, we've already said it. He's a living manifestation of destiny.
You're goddamn right. You're
so
goddamn
excited
fucking
for
right.
the next one.
Yeah. So my gym has been playing these movies.
That's great.
Back-to-back days. There's some channel that's doing a marathon of them. And my excitement is peaking.
Yeah, no, I actually got chills in Jamba Juice today when like the trailer voice came over and saying, critics are saying this is the movie event of the summer. And I was like, I know what that is. I know what it is. I'm feeling it. Alexis, you've gone quiet. Alexis has left the building.
I think I was huffing paint. I blacked out for a second.
Oh my God.
Alexis, watch Ghost Protocol. You'll like it. It's honestly, it's a good.
So here's my question: do I have to watch 2 and 3 in order to get to Ghost Protocol?
No, you don't.
Like, you know,
I feel like I'm going to lose momentum. It takes up so much of my time.
I think Ghost Protocol is a good on ramp to the series.
Yes.
Okay.
Ultimately, the continuity doesn't matter that much.
No, but I will say though, in terms of Ethan Hunt's love story, that does kind of have a emotional impact on forth. Unfortunately, it means watching the third one.
YouTube, like
you can.
You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Like explain everything. For
once you're,
I think I can actually get my sister to watch Ghost Protocol if I just tell her we're skipping 2 and 3.
Yeah, which are the lows of the franchise, in my opinion.
But also, I want to fucking say it again in case you missed the last couple of episodes. Mission Impossible 2 is better than Mission Impossible 3.
Easy, not a contest.
That's not for you, Alexis. We know you agree with that.
There's a lot of people out there who are like, 2 is the worst one in the franchise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not even close.
It's not even close.
3 is the only one that I like don't enjoy that much.
Yeah, it's boring. It's the only boring one.
Dull.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
It is tragic. Yes. Thank you.
It is because, like, assuming that it was
yes.
probably meant to be like just a trilogy, maybe then you should have finished strong with the third one,
Yeah, J.J. Abrams. Sound familiar with woofing a fucking trilogy and not finishing strong? J.J. Abrams?
I have a side note on Rise of the Skywalker.
Rise of the Sky.
What's your side note?
Okay, so you know how like in the very first half of the movie, Kylo Ren is like wearing the mask like most of the time.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I guess like even up to like 3 weeks before the movie was coming out, they were ADRing like his lines from the first half of the movie, and they were like, "Oh, the only reason why we even got to do that is because he had the mask, so we were able to like rewrite some of that stuff and like tweak things." But yeah, so
we were able to make the movie less worse. Thank God.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine like what would have happened if they hadn't like had him like in that mask and they just weren't able to fucking like even change anything? Like imagine how much worse it could have been.
But also the fact that they have him in the mask is emblematic of why that movie sucks shit. Because he smashes the mask in the last movie. He's starting to become his own man, and then I can't get into it.
It's such a drawback to his character. I don't even get what the fuck was going on.
I can't get mad about this all over again. I can't let Star Wars keep hurting me.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else?
Fuck it. I'll mention it. I saw Demolition Man.
How was that?
It was all right. It was all right. It's like an anti-fascist movie, and I love anti-fascism, but it's also kind of weirdly fascist at the end because it's like pro-cop, but anti-fascist. It's like you got to pick one.
Yeah, you can't be both.
Pick a lane.
You cannot be both.
And yes, it does help that Sylvester Stallone, who plays like Detective Spartan,
John Spartan.
By the way, if you do want to watch perhaps the most hilarious sex scene that I think I've ever seen, watch Demolition Man. Because Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock go at it, but in a very futuristic way. So it's not what you're thinking. You're all grimacing for good reason, but it's not that. But it's still hilarious. And also, Wesley Snipes is it's great to have a Wesley Snipes versus Sylvester Stallone, but man, they waste him. Man. His character's bad.
Can't waste Wesley Snipes.
No, he does. He does a good job. He's doing as much as he can, but like it's like, why are you here?
Sad.
Why are you here?
Sad.
It is sad.
Well,
yeah.
Alexis, anything else?
Alexis,
you look upset.
Are you upset?
You're picturing that sex scene.
Actually, side note, I don't love most sex scenes. They make me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh. That makes one of us.
One of us.
That's me.
One of us.
All right. Well.
Wait, I did watch Finding Nemo this week.
There we go.
And we're done. Don't acknowledge.
Let's
you know
get.
what? Fuck you.
I will
Eat
say,
shit.
hey, Finding Nemo has a great score by the Thomas Newman, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
I haven't
Newman.
seen Finding Nemo since it came out.
Really?
Yeah.
What? My name's Bruce.
All right. We don't need to.
I acknowledge. I'm sorry, Zach. I acknowledge.
We don't need to do that.
I
We don't
did
need to.
acknowledge.
Yeah, now you're in her
I-
world.
I've
She's
stepped
brought you
in
in.
it.
She's brought you into the
I'm
oceans.
in an underwater
She's
cartoon.
suckered you in with the sea.
I don't even understand
Under the
what's so
sea.
bad about watching Finding Nemo. It's not the worst Disney
Well, first
Pixar
of all, it's
movie
fascist,
to ever come out.
right? Is it?
What?
I don't know. Maybe not.
What's your?
Right.
This is definitely not the first time we've done Finding Nemo talk on this podcast.
It's
Yeah.
not, because I remember distinctly last time I quoted from the movie, you guys put me down to, because I did the whole thing where the little girl, squid girl is like, "Aw, you guys made me ink," and you guys were like, "Ooh, gross," and I was just like, she's a child.
Oh, that reminds me. Speaking of Finding Nemo, my fish died. Yeah, I don't know why you're laughing. It's not very funny. My poor little fish finally is up in fishy heaven. I guess down in fishy heaven. That's it. Now,
Weren't
folks,
you just talking
that's
like
a
a few
segue right
episodes
there.
ago about how crazy it was that your fish was still alive?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, listeners, if our avid listeners are being rewarded,
If you pay attention to the continuity of our podcast,
he's no longer with us, which is really sad because I don't have a fish to feed. Which is also kind of nice, though. I'm not gonna lie, I do miss him. You know, it's a fucking fish, though. So you know, what are you gonna do?
it doesn't miss you.
No, it
Be
does not miss me.
honest, you've never really like truly been like, "Oh my god, my fish! I'm so happy to see you."
Well,
like,
yeah,
that's
it's a
not your
fish.
first
Yeah,
thing every
yeah,
time
no.
you come home.
Yeah,
This is.
I mean,
can
I'm sure there are some people that are like that, but they're weird.
Can I say my thing about fish, which kind of ties into Finding Nemo?
Which is that you'll take it with
Okay.
some malt vinegar and a side of tartar sauce.
Well, most definitely, but also I find a fish weird because it's like a pet that's also like a decoration
Yes.
and also like your prisoner.
Yes, it gives me
It's
power.
it's a weird dynamic.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't trust fish
It's
people.
really making me think about Finding Nemo and the fish that are in the fucking dentist's office.
Exactly,
And how
yeah.
they're literally just plotting to leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're prisoners. They're
they are
trapped.
prisoners. They are.
Yeah.
He was at my mercy for years.
Yeah.
And he finally escaped into that big fishbowl
Do you
in
think
heaven.
he like? There's this one character in Finding Nemo in the tank where like every time the fucking like chest opens, and the bubbles come out. My bubbles.
See, now Zach is hating this.
I'm not necessarily hating
Can I just say,
it. I think
I'm not acknowledging. I'm not acknowledging.
you've acknowledged so hard.
I will not acknowledge.
Why are you even fronting? You've seen this movie recently.
I don't own it on DVD recently. Why would you insinuate that?
Maybe you know what?
yeah.
I'll rewatch Finding Nemo. I guess
just said
I'll
my
rewatch it.
All I said was my fish passed away, and now we're all riffing. That's not cool.
Talking about being trapped. What about being trapped by the patriarchy and heteronormativity? Because
That's
I feel
right.
like that ties into the
Finding
movies we're
Nemo?
going to talk about.
Hell yeah! Let's get
Yes.
going. Let's hop out. Let's keep this train moving and let's hop out of what's going
Choo
on.
choo.
And we're back. Oh boy. Well, as Alexis so aptly
It
transitioned
was
us
eloquent.
into,
Eloquent and sumptuous.
we are coming to an end of Queer Cinema Month.
Oh.
Pride Month. When you are listening to this, this will be the last day of Pride Month.
That's right.
So it's nice that we got to sneak
Yeah.
in one extra episode for you. This
That's
is a
right.
5-movie. Technically, it's a 6-movie.
Technically a
month.
6-movie month.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
So, yeah, we are
We're allies
into our last big topic of Pride Month.
That's right. Way to celebrate Pride by listening to us, which is, I think,
pay
what
attention
you should do.
you should pay attention to us more.
Yes.
And our final big topic, as suggested by me, is films that have real historical events or context in the background. So, fictional stories.
Right. That's the caveat.
Fictional stories. So these are not based on a true story films. It's a
Right.
fictional story that in some way incorporates historical fact.
And the list is long. The list is very long.
It sure
Indeed.
is.
Yeah.
Roma.
Yeah, another Alfonso Cuarón movie. I was going to mention that movie. I loved that movie when it came out.
I love that movie.
I still
in
haven't seen
college.
Roma.
It's so good.
I
You've not
beautiful.
seen Roma?
No, and now I really want to.
Yeah.
So
You really do.
what do
You
you
gotta watch
guys
it.
like about Roma?
It's good.
All right.
It's a good movie. No, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have much more to add other than it's damn good.
What's how does it use historical fact?
Well, it takes place during protests. Is it the same protests as the movie we're talking about, Alexis?
No.
It's not. It's a different.
Is it? No.
I don't know. It's some sort of
'cause
protest
this-
happening, and then there was also a massive earthquake.
This movie is set
Yeah.
roughly in like 99.
Oh, so then this is different because this I think Roma takes place in the 70s.
I believe so because Roma's
Yeah.
kind of
There's literally like a massacre that happens. Mitchie. Sorry, there is a massacre that happens in the
That's her
movie,
mom
and it
voice.
is actually it is.
went in.
She was complaining. I was like, please stop. I have things to do.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be
That
talking
is
shit.
exactly what a mom would say too. That's so tragic. If you give me a minute, I can figure it out. But another one that I wanted to spout off really quick is Pan's Labyrinth, because that
Pan's
takes place
Labyrinth.
during
Great
Franco's
Great
Spain
one.
during the rebellion that was happening during
That's
that time.
Right
another
before
good
World War
fucking
II.
choice. I love that
Right.
movie.
Fight fascism.
Yeah, that's a good anti-fascist picture.
Hell
That and
yeah,
Finding
it is.
Nemo.
Yeah.
You said Finding Nemo was fascist
I flip-flop
earlier.
sometimes.
God,
Keep
you're
up, Zach.
flip-flopping like
Keep
you're
up.
dead
Why
ass
is Finding
fish.
Nemo fascist?
I
I'm
don't
so
know.
confused.
It's not either.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
That was a good
Yeah.
one. Speaking of World War II, I gotta give a shout out to Atonement. That's a damn good movie set during a big historical event. Specifically, you would get Dunkirk in there.
Ooh,
Which-
interesting.
I will go on record and say that they did Dunkirk better in Atonement than they did in the movie Dunkirk.
Whoa, big claim.
Yeah, that's right.
You've definitely said that on here before.
Have
so,
I?
he feels, yes,
I did?
yes.
I love agreeing with myself. That means in that way I,
know
don't
you
flip flop.
do.
Yeah, that's a
It's a
really good.
it's a very meta theme.
That's a very good movie. Watch it. And you will cry. That's not a threat. That's just a warning because that movie, it tears you up.
It's got Sour Shoes Rolling in it.
It is so sad. James McAvoy is in there.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Keira Knightley in the iconic green dress.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I'll tell people about Atonement and they'll be like, "Is that the green dress movie?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." They don't remember it. They didn't see it, but they remember the green dress. You should watch it, Zach. It's on our shelf.
Okay.
Also, I got to give a shout out to our usual guest for his revisionist trilogy, Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Now, I'm just so glad that you guys brought that up. Hey, guys, it's me, Quentin Tarantino.
How you doing, Quentin?
I'm doing so good. I haven't been on the pod for a while. I've been busy. Been writing my new movie, The Movie Critic. You guys are going to love it.
I
You're
can't
going to
wait.
go crazy for it. Now, see, the thing that I found really, really groovy, particularly about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but also you're going to notice Diane Kruger at the end of Inglourious Bastards. In those films, I really got to capture a lot of feet of feet. I mean, I gotta show you a lot of films of feet. I mean, I got to film a lot of feet. I mean, I fuck.
All right, and that's all the time that we have for Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, thank you so much for joining us once again. As always, it is always a insightful interaction. We always love it.
Of course, guys, love the toast. I mean, show. Fuck.
Thank you. See you later, Quentin. So, yeah, those are real, as he said.
I was going to bring up Inglourious Bastards.
Those
glad,
three.
I'm glad you and Quentin got to it. I actually watched Inglourious Bastards very recently.
Did I mention that I saw that at the Beverly?
No,
I think
you
I
might
did.
have. Yeah,
It's so good there.
I love that movie. Again, set during World War II, obviously, real historical
Once upon a
event.
time in Nazi-occupied France.
But you get to watch Adolf Hitler get fucking machine gunned in the face.
Yeah.
And what's better than that?
See, what I love about his
I love
trilogy is like he's like, oh, you rewrite history. He's like, I'm correcting history.
Yeah.
I'm writing it how it should have fucking went.
Yeah.
And I completely agree.
It's very satisfying.
Also, Django Unchained is so good.
Yes.
I feel like people fucking sleep on that movie. It is so good.
No, Django Unchained does rule.
One of the best. I think it has the best ending of any of his films, which is saying something because Inglourious Bastards has one hell of
Still
an
gotta
ending.
be Inglourious Bastards.
But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Sharon Tate and the Manson murders. Now that's it. Now that captures a kind of a cultural shift really going on there.
Yeah.
Super good movie. So those are three. Anyone else want to take it away?
I have a superhero movie to bring up.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. What is
X-Men
it?
First Class.
Wow.
X-Men First
right,
Class
Cold War.
incorporates the Cuban Missile Crisis
That's
at
right.
the end of it. And
That's
for
true.
my money, that's the best X-Men movie.
I agree.
I
with you.
really love that movie.
It's the only one I own.
I think Fassbender is so fucking good in that movie.
He has that beautiful like navy blue turtleneck with the brown leather jacket. He looks so good.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, he's looking
sideburns.
like James Bond.
Which
I mean,
also,
literally, they costume him like James Bond.
Can I just say that there's one scene in that movie, speaking of the Glorious Bastards, that seems like it's ripped straight out of it. It's when Michael Fassbender. It is this chord.
All right.
When Michael Fassbender visits those Nazis that are hiding in Argentina, and he takes, because he's Magneto, and
Yeah,
he takes the
the
knife,
the knife.
the Hitler knife. Oh my God!
Yeah.
So, now that's a badass scene.
Well, there were plans to do like a Magneto Nazi hunting movie.
There are not enough Nazi hunting films.
should
by the
be
way.
more. Should be more.
That should be a franchise, like a James Bond type character.
Yeah.
Like shit, you could base that
Just-
on Christopher Lee or some
I
shit.
mean, we do kind of have it.
With
in
hunters?
Indiana Jones.
Oh, Indiana Jones. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean that's true, but he's not hunting
Nazis after
That's
the
not
war.
his mission.
Which, yeah, I would like to see more.
I think that's a franchise waiting to happen.
Alexis, do you have any others?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we already covered Spotlight, so I don't even need to talk about that.
Well, that's based on a true
That's
story.
based on a true story. Doesn't count.
Oh, it's based on truth. That doesn't count.
That's why I was going
Fuck.
to say a taxi
Oh,
driver.
okay. You're going to say a taxi driver?
But that's based on a true
but
story, so it
that's
doesn't
based
work.
on a true story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is why I didn't say
technically,
it on the podcast.
Grave of the Fireflies. I feel like that counts. It's an animated movie from Studio Ghibli, but it's not from Miyazaki. It's from
Right.
Isao Takahata.
I haven't seen that.
But it is a fictional story about a pair of siblings who basically have to survive in Japan after they are orphaned because, you know, like there was bombing and a lot of the houses were wooden houses. So a lot of times, like once one caught on fire, the whole town would catch on fire. A lot of people got really bad burns and infections and died because of that. And that's how, one of their parents dies, they're orphaned, and they basically just have to survive on the streets. So I think that counts.
Wow. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, that totally counts.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I haven't seen this movie, but there is only one reason why I am at all familiar with the Robert Pattinson romantic drama Remember Me.
I haven't seen
Oh,
that.
I loved that movie when it came out. I saw it in theaters.
You know why I'm bringing it up, right, Alexis?
Why?
Because it has a 9/11 twist ending.
What?
I do know that. I do know
the
that.
movie
Yeah.
on now.
I remember I was devastated.
Oh, wow.
Devastated by
Really?
that.
It has
I
a
was
9/11
just like,
ending?
Yeah, there is a scene
That's a
towards
bold
the end of
choice.
the movie where you see like Robert Pattinson's character like standing looking out a window, and then it widens out. And it widens out.
he in the World Trade
and
Center?
He's in the World Trade Center on September 11th.
Do you see a reflection of a plane like coming in?
and I think that like he even like says something very loving to her. Like they have like this really good moment, and then he just fucking dies.
Yeah,
I'm like, how could you let him go out like that?
he gets surprise 9/11.
Listeners, please do not take this the wrong way. We have nothing but love in our heart, but that is hilarious.
That's crazy.
That's hilarious.
That's crazy. If I was watching a movie and like suddenly it's revealed that it's 9/11, like you can't do that.
Right.
You can't do it. But also every movie should do it now.
They should do it.
It's bananas choice.
Wow.
And again, the
Wow.
only reason that I know
I can see why you
about
didn't-
the movie Remember Me is that it features
That's
a
crazy.
9/11 twist
Who's
ending.
in it with Robert Pattinson?
I don't know.
Alexis,
Alexis,
do you remember?
you've actually seen this movie.
I haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it since it came out in 2011 or
That's
12.
the other crazy part.
The 10-year anniversary, or not anniversary? Is it
Like,
anniversary?
yeah, I don't know what you call
Yeah.
like 10
Because
years since a
anniversary
tragedy.
sounds like,
Yeah.
hey, it's happy anniversary, but it's not that.
No,
Not that.
but still, like, it's crazy that
Horrendous.
like Like, I would be shocked if a movie did that now. And we are 22 years out from 9/11.
Yeah.
Remember Me came out like 10 years later. So
how should this movie end? You know what we should do?
what we could do? No. What?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's a bizarre example of a fictional story incorporating real historical fact.
Jesus.
It would be like if like Titanic buried the lead that it was on the Titanic, except the movie came out 10 years after the Titanic sank.
Doesn't Saving Private Ryan kind of count too?
Definitely.
Then?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's so many World War II movies. Saving Private Ryan, that's a great one.
Yeah,
so
good
many.
pick.
I'm like, every World War II movie I've ever watched
Pretty
that's
much
like a
most of them.
romantic movie could pretty much.
Ip Man. I mean, that's a true. Hold on.
It's based on a true story.
It's based on a true character, but the story of him like rising up and having one-on-one with a Japanese, that's all fictional.
No, that happened.
It's fictional.
No, it happened.
It's fictional.
Don't
Zach.
ruin this for me.
Okay,
Ip
fine.
Man happened
I'm sorry,
exactly
Zach.
how it was shown.
It is shot for shot history.
And he fought
The
Mike Tyson.
movie. Oh my god. Okay, the movie that I watched, The Dreamers, also counts because it is a fictional story set against the 1968 student riots in France, in Paris.
Okay.
So,
wow. Okay.
I was really on task.
Les Mis.
Oh, Rob.
Les
Les
Miserables.
Mis.
Les Mis.
Yeah.
That's set against the backdrop of the French Revolution, but tells a fictional story.
Wow.
So, yeah. How about that?
That's great.
Fiddler
love
on the
that.
Roof. Fiddler
shit.
on the Roof is another one. Cabaret.
Gladiator. That's one.
There.
It is. 'Cause
Yeah,
Marcus Aurelius is a real emperor. You know, he had a reign.
Did we say The Favorite?
No, we didn't, but
No, we
good
did
pick.
not. Good pick. Good
Yeah,
pick.
because like technically it's a fictionalized story of Queen Anne, but all those wars that the late Rachel Weisz's character Lady Marlborough, her husband is doing, they're all true.
There we go.
One of my personal favorites, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
there's so many movies that are set to the
There's
backdrop
so
of
many
historical
of
events.
them.
Well, do we want
love it.
to talk about two other ones?
I think we should only talk about two more. Only two more.
Make it three.
I have to give you the stuff behind Roma.
Okay, please.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
This will be a great transition
this is
point.
good.
Okay, so basically, and this does actually tie in really, really well to one of our movies, is that for a really long time, the PRI, like, would you call that like a, political group?
Yeah, the Institutional Revolutionary Party.
Yeah, so they were in power for a really long time, from like the 1920s until the 1990s.
Yes, this is in Mexico.
Yeah, and they stayed that way by doing like election fraud and like all sorts of like other like bullshit, and people were like really pissed about it, obviously. And so in the 70s, this kind of like came to a head because there was like student protests, which are in the film Roma. But one of the things that happens in Roma is this massacre in one of the areas. It's called Three Cultures Square in Mexico City, and I'm going to fuck this up. Tlatelolco housing complex.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. And so that's the massacre that I was talking about earlier, where a bunch of people fucking died.
Which is what they were
students and stuff.
protesting in the backdrop of Roma.
Gotcha.
And then
Yeah.
again, also that massive earthquake that was awful.
Okay.
Unlike those really nice earthquakes, because those don't exist.
All right. Well, I'm glad we brought up Roma,
Me too.
because Roma was directed by Alfonso Cuarón.
Oh, yes.
And do you know what else was directed by
else?
Mr. Cuarón?
What did he do?
Y tu mamá también.
That's right, a 2001 film that he made starring Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal and Maribel Verdú. And,
That other guy.
yeah, that's... Sorry, I'm confused because I'm looking at the
pictures are wrong, right?
pictures,
Yeah,
and the
no,
pictures
that
are
fucked me
wrong
up
on
too.
Google. But we are not just talking about Y tu mamá también.
No.
We are also talking about My Own Private Idaho.
What?
Which is a 1991 film directed by Gus Van Sant and starring River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves.
Classic.
And you might be wondering, what's the connection between these two films, Zach? Why did you select these for your episode? And more importantly, who suggested them?
Gee whiz, I sure am confused.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I selected these two films because they are both queer road trip movies. One of them, My Own Private Idaho, was suggested by Edwin, my brother.
Woo.
And the other one, Y tu mamá también, was suggested by my friend Salvador. So thank you, both of you. And
Thank
to
you,
everyone
Salvador.
else who recommended a queer cinema pick to me, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Zach.
All right, well, not you. You suggested Mission Impossible.
I did every time he asked, I was always submitting Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
I'm a little disappointed.
But yeah, thank you everyone for your suggestions. You had great picks. The reason I picked these two is because of the, sort of narrative connection. I thought it was fun.
And also helps that they're pretty damn good movies.
They are both damn good movies.
Yeah.
What would we like to talk about first?
Why don't we? Well, I was actually surprised at how much connected these films.
Right?
So yeah, because I was talking to my sister about this earlier today. How many themes kind of were exactly the same in the movies in many ways.
Don't mind me just patting myself on the back.
I'm glad you said that.
Why don't we cover My Own Private Idaho first?
All right,
Good
let's
choice.
do it. Yeah.
Good choice.
So My Own Private Idaho is, as I said, directed by Gus Van Sant, and here is the description. In this loose adaptation of Shakespeare's Henry IV, Mike Waters, River Phoenix, is a gay hustler afflicted with narcolepsy. Scott Favor, Keanu Reeves, is the rebellious son of a mayor. Together, the two travel from Portland, Oregon to Idaho, and finally to the coast of Italy in a quest to find Mike's estranged mother. Along the way, they turn tricks for money and drugs, eventually attracting the attention of a wealthy benefactor and sexual deviant. Now, this is kind of a hard movie to summarize.
It's very hard.
And part of it is that this movie, this screenplay, was actually an amalgamation of a few different screenplays that Gus Van Sant had cooking.
I didn't know that.
He had a modern adaptation of Henry IV.
Right.
He had a short story that he wrote, and he had a screenplay that was about gay street hustlers.
Right. And it should be said, this does not take place during a historical event, but it's based on
Henry IV, which
Right.
is in turn based on, the life of Henry IV.
Which is history.
Yeah. It's,
So that-
maybe
so
it's
it-
a bit of a stretch,
it
but
counts.
fuck it. It was a fun topic.
You made up the topic. It works.
Yeah. So I had never seen My Own Private Idaho before. Alexis, what was your relationship to this movie? Had you seen it before?
Actually, I think both me and Mick watched it for the first time last year.
That's
Gotcha.
correct.
In November, December, I think. I think maybe December. Yeah.
All right. Well, Alexis, let's start with you. What do you think of the movie?
The first time I watched it, I definitely I liked it, but I think it was hampered by the fact that Mick didn't like it.
That's not true. That's not true. Because my take, you when you get to my take, you'll know why that's false history.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I liked it, so that's my history with it.
And
on your rewatch,
Oh, on my rewatch, I feel like I appreciated the cinematography even more. I don't know if I paid as much attention to it, and I really, really, really loved River Phoenix's performance throughout. So
fucking
that's
good.
it.
yeah. So the reason I say that's false history is because I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the adventure and also the really wacky characters that we meet along the way. On a rewatch, I enjoyed it less because, to me, this movie just kind of meanders along. There's no, real plot. It's definitely just story, and that's fine.
I'm going to use the term.
What?
It's a tone poem.
It is a tone poem.
It is a tone.
It is absolutely a tone
poem.
poem. And so, since I knew what was going to happen or what was not ever going to happen already, seeing it on a rewatch, I was just kind of, I was a bit more caught up in it. But I was like, okay, well, I know where this is going. And I think not knowing where the movie was going at all made it a better experience. So it's still a really good movie with some terrific performances in it. It's a very peculiar movie. But yeah, I did not enjoy it as much on a rewatch.
Interesting. So I had never seen this. And after having like sat with it for a couple of days, I find it to be like a pretty interesting movie about America.
Yeah.
I don't, I would also say that I probably like this the least out of the two movies that we watched. But it's a really interesting story about, how differently two people can experience the same thing if one person has means and one person doesn't.
Yeah.
Because, Scott and Mike are, nominally living the same life. They're both street hustlers, but
one is a choice.
Yeah, Scott is doing this
isn't.
as a form of rebellion, much like Prince Hal in Henry IV.
Exactly.
He's, striking out on his own and, knows that at a certain point he's going to go back to a life of wealth and privilege. And Mike is trapped in this. And the stakes are just like so much higher emotionally for him because, like, not only is he economically trapped in this life, but he's, partially in this life, one might assume, because he is a gay youth who's been rejected by his family.
Yeah.
And Scott is not gay.
No.
Like, Scott is having sex with men for money.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was an interesting movie that had a lot to say about how class and sexuality intersect. I thought it looked beautiful, but it was a little slow. I will agree.
Yeah. The Rome stuff is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember who shot this movie, but it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah. I think actually my favorite shots were all the ones that were in Idaho. I don't know why, but just that open country landscape out there was just, I don't know what however they color graded it, and then they must have done like some sort of like a time lapse for the clouds. It was really beautiful. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I just really liked watching it.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like, representative of like Mike's interiority. Like, that is in some ways the inside of his mind, because you get that later when he's being to be a little crass, when he's being blown in the hotel room at the beginning of the movie. When he comes, there is a pretty funny shot of an empty barn crashing onto the road.
That's how the movie opens, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting that, like, the narcolepsy is there. It's a very interesting plot device to use for a hustler, because you already live a life of being somebody who's very, like, vulnerable, because, you're basically in danger every time that you get into somebody's car, potentially.
Yeah.
But then you add this layer of vulnerability of like, oh, I could just fall asleep wherever and people could do whatever they wanted to me. Like, there's this added layer of vulnerability to him. So I thought that was an interesting plot device. I don't know if it has real, true purpose, but, it gives him an extra layer of vulnerability as a character.
I still think it's hilarious when River Phoenix is running away from the cop in Idaho, and you just see him, like, fleeing. He's like, oh, it's his problem. Oh, I guess he doesn't like cops. And then it just cuts to him passed out in the desert. It's the one narcolepsy episode he has where it gets me to laugh out loud at that.
Well, it's also like a good, way to increase the, contrast between him and Scott.
Yeah.
Because, Scott is someone who has all of the agency and can make, all of the choices he wants in his life. And Mike is completely vulnerable. And you see that in the way that they, interact with the people they care about. Because, like, Scott is able to completely close himself off to everyone at the end of the movie, even if he cares about them, which, again, very Henry IV.
Yeah. He's also just so charismatic that, let's be honest, my favorite character, Bob, there are a few instances where Scott basically calls into question his authority, and everyone's kind of with him.
Yeah.
You know, and he is that outgoing sort of person like that just sort of kind of commands the room.
It makes the scene where Mike confesses that he loves Scott
At the campfire.
Yeah, all the more heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because Mike has so much to lose, and I know the story that you're going to tell. Go for it.
Okay. So originally, when Gus Van Sant wrote this script, he had Mike as somebody who was more asexual. And so the campfire scene basically did not exist. It was really just like... there's no meat to it, basically. But River Phoenix was like, I don't really agree with that. Like, I think that he's, like, in love with Scott. And so he basically, like, rewrote the scene. So the campfire scene as we know it wouldn't be the campfire scene if River Phoenix hadn't been that character.
Yeah.
So doubly tragic because obviously River Phoenix died really young and he was a really promising actor. But that shows me that he could have been a very promising writer as well, which is something... Yeah. That I heard and agreed with on the podcast, The Next Picture Show, which I listened to in preparation for this.
Nice. Yeah, it makes me think about Matt Damon told this story about working on The Departed, where Jack Nicholson went up to him one day and he was like, you know how I've had such a long career as an actor? I'm a damn good writer.
Right.
And Matt Damon was like, oh, well, that makes total sense. You know, to be a great actor, you have to be able to recognize a great script. So, Of course you're a fucking great writer.
Yeah.
So that speaks to what a fucking talent we lost in River Phoenix. I also, doing some research on this movie, him and Keanu Reeves' friendship is very sweet. It makes me very sad.
Yeah. I know.
So there's two versions of how both of them ended up in this movie that I've heard. Mm-hmm. One is that both of their agents got the script for this movie. Keanu's agent passed it along to him. Keanu, and they're both kind of teen heartthrobs at this point. The Bill and Ted had come out, and Point Break was the year before this. So Keanu's agent gives it to Keanu. Keanu's like, oh, this is interesting. This is great. And River Phoenix's agent doesn't give it to him. He's like, no, absolutely not. Yeah. My client is not doing this because, being in a queer movie
a big departure.
Fucking risky at that time, especially if, you're a guy. So Gus Van Sant had told Keanu Reeves that he wanted River Phoenix in this movie and was like, hey, could you talk to him? So Keanu Reeves takes the script and at Christmas time motorcycles from Canada to Florida where River Phoenix lives to bring him the script himself. That is one version of this that I've heard. Mm-hmm. The other version of this, which I think I may be inclined to believe more, because I think that River Phoenix mentioned this in an interview. The two of them were doing a movie before this, and they both got the My Own Private Idaho script. And they were both like, okay, this is really interesting, but this seems like, a big departure, a huge risk. If I do this, you got to do it with me. Mm. So they made a pact that, if one of them does it, the other one has to do it. And if the other one doesn't, neither of them do it. Which I think is very sweet. I think that's a lovely friend moment.
You can tell they have great chemistry. On screen.
Can we talk about Keanu a little bit?
Yes,
because we talked about River Phoenix and how fucking wonderful he is in this movie. Keanu Reeves does not get enough fucking credit for what a great actor he is and what risks he took.
Yeah,
and genuinely the kind of range that he has. I think he is fucking fantastic in this movie.
You still hear to this day people talking about how, like, oh, I love Keanu Reeves, but he's not a good actor. And I'm going to admit myself, I even will go back and forth sometimes on that when I watch performances from him, if I'm being completely honest. But I would put Keanu Reeves up there with Nicolas Cage in terms of his acting style is not like conventional, what we typically think of like, oh, it's so authentic, it's so real. Oh my God, he's so in that. but he's speaking to the emotional truth 110% with every role he does. I think they're very similar in that sense. Because they're different performances. They're not bad performances because you 100% buy that he's feeling whatever his emotion that he's emoting on screen. And also, they both have the charisma as well. I mean, Keanu Reeves is fantastic.
Watching this, I was reminded of something that my mom used to say when I was growing up, which was like, oh, Keanu Reeves is such a terrible actor.
Right.
Because I saw him in, I think, the Vancouver Shakespeare Festival as Hamlet, and he was awful. Or maybe she didn't see him. Maybe it was just, that was kind of the consensus. And I was sort of surprised at that because watching this, I was like, fuck,
I would have pretty comfortable with Shakespeare text.
I would have watched a version of Henry IV or Henry V with Keanu Reeves playing that role because he really does nail. He has both the like charisma, kind of party boy energy that you need to play Prince Hal, which you see in stuff like fucking Bill and Ted or Point Break.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But he also like has that gravitas and like ability to command a room and like draw in and be authoritative that you see like in the Matrix sequels.
Right.
Or John Wick.
That's why I love that scene with Scott and Bob in the alleyway when he has his back turned to Bob and he's basically saying everything he's planning on doing and everything that is happening in his life. It's all like at one point
someday he will have to be king.
Yes, exactly. And his aside where he's just staring off, I could 100% see him on a stage with just the spotlight coming down on him and he's just delivering this fantastic monologue.
Yeah, and I would think he would be a good theater actor because he's so physical.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves brings such a like physicality to all of his roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think he's great. I think people need to people have kind of eased off his back, but give him some credit.
Yeah, I think the internet all agrees that like we love Keanu Reeves, but I don't ever remember thinking that I thought Keanu Reeves was like a terrible actor. I don't ever remember thinking that.
Do you consider yourself a Keanu Reeves fan?
I mean, I don't necessarily like go out of my way to be watching his movies, but like all the things that I've seen him in, I always like him in them. So I don't know, because like I love Speed. I watched Speed like a bunch as a kid because we had it on VHS, So it's like I don't know. And I liked Bill and Ted's like Excellent Adventure and stuff and
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, I think, came out the year after this.
Wow, that's a sequel, right?
Yeah.
Two totally different tones.
Is George Carlin in both of them?
Yes,
oh,
I think.
So good.
Yeah, I think he's in 1 and 2. Obviously, he's not in 3.
I love that part that you're talking about where he's in the alley where his back is turned and he's talking to Bob because it mirrors the final interaction between him and Bob because he also is... Yeah, he's also, and it is interesting, like the choice that they made in that final scene to have this red light on half of Keanu Reeves's face as he essentially betrays Bob.
Yeah.
I love the use of a red light. So
yeah,
good.
there was definitely a lot of like choices in the movie that I really like enjoyed that I think I paid attention to more this time since I already knew what the story was and where it was going, so I was able to just kind of pay attention to the little intricacies.
Right. Yeah, something that, what is his name? Udo Kier. So that was a big moment for me because when I first watched this with you, I had not worked with Udo yet. And now having watched this, I have worked with him. And he plays Hans for the listeners.
I have a fun little fact about his little dance that he does towards the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
apparently that was...
Along with his music?
Yes. Yeah. Apparently that was like a cabaret act that Udo Kier used to do.
Really?
So he brought that in.
Wow. I believe it because, folks, if you've watched this movie, Hans is exactly like that in real life. I'm not exaggerating. So one day on set, I'm just, it was like my third day, like on the movie, and Udo's there. and he walks up and he has to get his jewelry taken off because he's wearing rings that aren't in line with the character.
And he goes, Guten Tag.
He goes, yeah, do you see this? Be very careful with this ring, please. Yeah, do you look at it? Wait, look what's printed on it. And, we all kind of like look in. He goes, do you recognize that? And we go, no, what is that? Because it's kind of an old antique ring. And he goes, that is 2 wild boars fucking each other.
Shut the fuck up.
This is all, hand on my heart, this is true. And we go, oh, wow. He goes, it is a very good conversation piece, yeah. You would believe it. I have gotten a lot of attention in the years with just this ring. I will bring it up. That is how I start conversations. Yeah,
I love it.
He's a wacky character, and it's so great because after watching him as Hans in this, I was like, wow, he's not acting. That's just how he is.
That's just him.
Oh my god, yeah. Also, Zach, let's talk about what you brought up, which is this very David Lynchian type vibe to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the redheaded little Dutch boy guy.
Yeah, this movie
Oh my god.
did in places remind me of Wild at Heart, both in sort of like the sparseness of the landscape, leaning on like Americana imagery and all of like the fucking disgusting, sad, like dead motels that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
With characters who are, for lack of a better word, exhibiting high strangeness. Just like behavior that
they are
feels
eccentric characters.
Yeah, but not just like just
eccentric
feels
kinksters.
off. It feels unreal. And one is Udo Kier performing his little cabaret routine.
That's hilarious.
And the other is the guy who wants Mike to dress up like a little Dutch boy and clean his hotel room.
Yeah.
Who is just having a grand old time as he does that. Yeah.
He loves the friction.
It's very, very surreal and upsetting.
Yeah, you know what, that's kind of touching on why I don't think I super love this movie, is because it just gives me a funky feeling. Which is
a
on
bad
purpose.
vibe.
Yeah, it's just kind of a bad vibe. It's completely on purpose because that's kind of the story that it's exploring. But I think like the song "America the Beautiful" on steel guitar over top the landscapes of Idaho bum me the fuck out. It's just the whole vibe. And Zach, what you mentioned, like the funky hotel rooms, these people that are like surviving, and it's just like it's just a bummer, man. Like it gives me just a bad vibe. It is, and I think that's definitely part of the point of the picture. I don't like staying at hotels like that, man.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's like
don't appreciate it.
It's almost like you as the viewer feel unsafe because like you know that the characters are experiencing something that kind of feels like uncomfy.
You're locked, and you're locked into Mike's perspective. Yeah, and Mike is a character who, has more or less no control over his own existence. Like he just
no agency.
He really
at all.
is just
wakes
along
up
for
places.
The ride. And that abusive interaction he has with his dad.
Yeah, and he doesn't even really have like an arc per se.
He's the exact same in the beginning of the movie as he is in the end.
Yeah, he just doesn't have shoes.
Yeah.
But he is a character that we know is 100% himself, and I think that's why like him exhibiting because he's like vulnerable physically with the whole narcolepsy thing. Like I think it further sells the fact that he's so vulnerable, which is like it undermines the masculinity that like Scott is kind of trying to like exude, and that that he's going to like go back to, because like. Capitalism is, it's a fucking trickle down of the patriarchy in a lot of ways, and Scott just totally like buys into that shit at the end. And I love that the campfire scene just kind of like deconstructs that, because Scott says that like, two men can't fall in love, and fucking River Phoenix is like, actually, no, I actually think that I could fall in love because I love you, you know? Mm-hmm. And he's just like so he just says it so sincerely and so matter-of-factly, and he's just so, like, it's not even like a confidence thing. Like, he's clearly like not really like confident in saying it, but he's just like, that's just my truth and I gotta like speak it. Whereas like Scott is so reserved. Like, you never truly know what Scott is really thinking. Like, you always feel like he's got some little other plan going on in the background.
Yeah, he's scheming.
He's a schemer.
He's a schemer.
Like the concert tickets debacle. That whole thing. Where he helps get the tickets and then immediately robs Bob in the crew in their own little outfits, which is weird sequence, but super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it does kind of
example.
set you up to think that this is going to be more of a fun movie than it is.
Yeah.
I do actually love the scene, like, right after that, where, like, Bob is telling the story of, like, how that went down. And he's like, oh, it started with 2, and now we're at 11, you know? And I don't know. I found that very comical.
It was 7 of them. 7. Oh, 7. 11 by my count.
Yeah. That's got to be like a
and he was
false
wearing
staff model.
he was wearing a green shirt, but and I couldn't even see in front of my hand. But Bob, how could you see it was green if you couldn't even see your hand? Like, that shit was so funny.
That Bill Shakespeare,
also,
what a writer.
Right?
Yeah. Also, fucking, when Scott is like, okay, I'll show up to my dad's place, and he shows up in, like, no shirt under his jean jacket and, like, a dog collar on. Like,
Yeah.
William
also made me
Richards.
laugh so hard.
Gotta shout out.
That's the name of the guy who played Bob, William Richard, who apparently is an American film director. Wow, he directed a bunch of shit. Okay, wow. But yeah, no, that's my favorite fucking performance of this whole movie. He's such a good voice. Sorry, Zach, what were you saying?
Yeah.
Well, I've also just got to shout out that this movie is kind of an Oregon film. And River Phoenix is an Oregon boy.
And
He's born in Madras.
William Richard passed away in Portland last year.
Well,
Weird.
there you go. Gus Van Sant went to college in Portland.
That's right.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Unless this is your first episode, Zach and I are Oregon boys.
We are Oregon boys.
We're Oregon boys.
Yeah. One other thing that I want to mention about the narcolepsy is that it allows us to have this movie's like kind of weird formal conceit, which is that this is a road movie where you basically never see the travel.
Yeah, no, it's a good.
That's
it's a good
crazy.
editing trick.
That is fucking nuts. Yeah, you just get a title card. Portland, Idaho. Portland, Idaho. Roma.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's so wide. It throws you off balance. Yeah. No, maybe I should watch this movie again because the more I talk about it, the more I like it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines is when the cops come looking for Bob and they're like talking to Keanu and like I think Mike is under the covers with him. They were pretending to like have sex and they're like we're looking for a man. He's fat. A fat man, fat like butter. I don't know why, but and you see that Bob is like listening and he's just like, well,
for real.
that's just uncalled for. That's fucking rude.
Yeah.
Something else I like about this film is that I think for our Pride Month, this is the first time we have a movie that covers male sex workers.
Yeah.
And the whole diner sequence, restaurant confessional.
Oh my god. Yeah,
montage.
those are real
stories, right?
Yeah, those are not only real stories, but those are like street kids telling
So
those
they're
stories.
real
street
kids.
kids,
Yeah.
Okay, I totally buy it because that feels like, and I guess it is in a way, dipping into documentary territory. Because when you watch
it's a docudrama in a way.
It feels so real and it's like so sad.
Yeah.
Because again, that explains that it's real.
It's
because
all these male street hustlers telling stories about these interactions they had with Johns during like their.
It's interesting they call it dates.
Yeah.
My first date.
Yeah.
He's talking about and stuff like that. Where my friend kept the money and I go up and I got cold feet. I don't want to do this, so we go back down and my friend took the money and ran.
Yeah.
So I still had to do the date.
All of
and
these like really dangerous situations.
So I think that scene is monumentally important for this movie, especially for being in the beginning of the part of the movie, because it really does kind of give you stakes. This film, there's no real plot, but again, there is story and there are stakes there. And again, it's like what you two have been kind of alluding to, which is just the safety of these kids, pretty much. That's a very powerful scene.
And then there's also like all these just like shots of like them waiting kind of like in the cold or like in the rain, and like you just have to kind of sit there with them for a while. So one of the things that I was reading, and like I also kind of see this in the film, is like My Own Private Idaho. I think that Idaho kind of represents this ideal, this idea of home that Mike has.
Yeah,
and
Mike is looking for home.
Yeah, he's looking for mom, but what he's really looking for is home. And I think that, you know, in some way he kind of feels that Scott is kind of a part of that. And so I don't know. I think that's why, like, every time he has those bouts of narcolepsy and you see the imagery of like Idaho, he's dreaming of home.
He's dreaming of home that in a way doesn't really exist anymore, because a lot of those are memories. And that's why I really love the film's title. Yeah, My Own Private Idaho, because when he has those narcolepsy episodes and he falls asleep, you then get the montage.
It's his own private Idaho.
He gets he gets his own little glimpse of home, and really the only time he is home is when he's passed out due to his medical condition.
Yeah, and also it's a damn good B-52 song.
It is.
Living in my own private Idaho, private Idaho.
How was that song not in this movie?
I mean, that's why he named the movie.
Oh, he should have used it. Woof. Woof.
But I love that they have the Pogues in there. Is it Irish? I think it's in the Pogues. I know that they sing the final song that's over the credits, but they're like an Irish punk band. But,
cool.
Yeah. But no, so like before I say this, Gus Van Sant, he makes really good like old school footage. Like,
yeah, the Super 8 footage is fucking beautiful.
Yeah. And I love that one of the last scenes that we see of the mother, because like almost all the scenes that we see of the mother in this like Super 8 like kind of film, it's very close up. But then in one of the last scenes that we see it pull away, you know, like almost like he's kind of like he's losing her like officially in some ways.
Yeah, and you kind of,
because he literally can't find her.
Yeah, when they go to Italy and Mike finds out that his mother was in Rome but then moved back to the States, you do just kind of get this sense that like he's gonna be like one step behind forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like this like collective like like fuck that this is this kid's whole story is never finding her.
I think that shot where you pull out from his mom kind of adds to that.
Because he loses Scott at the same time. So then it's like whatever idea of home that I had or hoped to have is gone.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the campfire scene is directly in front of Roma, right?
I believe
Don't
so,
we go from the campfire to Rome?
We go from the campfire, to them meeting up with Hans to sell the motorcycle.
Oh, that's right.
Because they steal a motorcycle.
But still, it's a sad turn of events, because he confesses his love, and then you're in Roma and he's shagging some Italian woman. Yeah, you know,
well, do you think that
right there in the same room?
Well, do you think that might just have like he's just reinforcing like his personal.
Scott?
His personal pledge to heteronormativity and therefore to his old life.
I think I think that's the interesting thing about Scott, is that like, well, we're never really gonna know.
We're never really gonna know, but
because he's like a schemer, you can never know what's really in his head.
He's so inscrutable. Like, on the one hand, like, yeah, like, I'll, you know, on some level take it at face value that Scott is like, no, I just do this for money. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't have to do this for money.
No.
So, like, why choose, of, like, ways to rebel, why choose the life of, you know, a street hustler who's having sex with other men for money?
Is he kind of rebelling against his own sexuality?
Yeah, like, or, you know, is he embracing a part of himself that recognizes that he's going to have to kill once he, you know, becomes king, takes over the family business? Mm-hmm. It's why,
I mean, his his relationship with Mike is very intimate and caring. Like, he's always picking him up. He's putting him in his own clothes, you know, to protect him. You know, he even says, like, I'm going to leave you here, Mike, because you're going to be safer here than in the city.
Yeah,
you know?
or like even after Mike confesses his love, like, you know, he holds him.
He tells him, like, come here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like he doesn't like force him away or anything, which I thought was, you know, very sweet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Really interesting. Oh, man. I got to watch it again.
Yeah. It is definitely an interesting movie. I want to talk about the sex scenes, naturally.
Oh,
The sex tableaus.
I love those. I love them.
Yeah, it's such 90s independent cinema zhuzh.
Well, there's also one sex scene that is not a tableau.
And that's the one under the covers?
No, an actual sex scene.
That's the... Oh, the beginning of the movie.
The beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what the one element that is not there in that sex scene that is present in all the other ones?
Go for it.
Scott.
Ah, interesting.
So, like, I don't know. The way I interpret that is, like, all of the sex scenes with where Scott is present, you see them in tableau.
Yeah.
Because these are moments that Mike are important to Mike. He treasures them.
Right.
Whereas, you know, when fucking whatever his name is, Walter, is sucking his dick at the beginning of the movie,
Right.
it's, you know, it's work.
Yeah.
He's dissociated from it. I don't know. That's how I
also
saw it.
Is Mike even present for the sex scene in the
He's
end?
not, but he's hearing it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the one, but I don't know. I thought of it more as like that those, I don't know. Like we see Mike dissociate by seeing him go to like Idaho and like, you know, the salmon and the barn and all these different things. But with the other sex scenes, I kind of read it as like Scott's dissociation from the sex and from intimacy, because I don't know, there was just something about the way that like after the tableau of him and the girl, like before he goes to bed, he kind of just like looks off. I don't know. I just felt like he was disconnected from it.
I can see that. The only reason why I think of it as like something that Mike is trying to hold in his mind is that so much of the rest of the movie is from Mike's perspective.
Yeah, they're like snapshots.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is maybe a good point.
That's exactly why
We're talking about sex scenes.
this is why I brought it up.
Oh, okay. Wait, kid. Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. It's fine.
If
What?
we need to, no,
Yeah, go
okay,
for it, Alexis, come
go
on.
for it. We don't have anywhere to
No,
be.
It takes a third leg to make a tripod. Come on.
Come on.
Okay. I really liked the last line of the movie that Mike has that refers back to kind of just like the idea of searching for home, where he says the road will never end. It probably goes all the way around the world. Just saying that, like, you know, like I'll probably never find what I'm looking for, and this whatever it is that I want is always going to be in the distance and out of my reach. And I don't know. And
Whatever
it's
he
kind of
wants.
sad the way that the movie ends with like him getting picked up by somebody and we don't know what happens to him.
Yeah.
You know, very open ended.
Yeah, I actually love that ending because it's like, oh no, this story continues. We're
Yeah.
just not a part of it anymore as an audience.
Yeah.
It's the only time in the movie that we see the traveling.
Yeah, pretty much.
Him in the car.
Also,
going
very
off.
interesting that the movie starts with like Mike saying the road looks like some kind of fucked up face.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends with "Have a nice day,"
Yeah.
which is, as anyone who has seen Forrest Gump knows, the slogan on the Happy Face T-shirt.
That's right.
Yeah. But let's talk about another movie now.
Yeah,
It's
let's
not as
segue.
clean a
Scenes.
jumping off
Woo!
point, but
Speaking of sex,
yeah.
let's
Let's talk about another road movie about two young men trying to find their way in the world. Y tu mamá también.
Woo.
I'm going to read the description.
Please do.
The lives of Julio and Tanok, like those of 17-year-old boys everywhere, are ruled by raging hormones, intense friendships, and a headlong rush into adulthood. Over the course of a summer, the two best friends, while living out a carefree cross-country escapade with a gorgeous older woman,
I'll say.
also find connection with each other, themselves, and the world around them. So this was, as I said, directed by Alfonso Cuarón and cinematography by Emmanuel Lubezki.
So good.
I really like this movie.
Me too.
I think it's very fun.
It's my favorite of the two.
I think like it is definitely sad and bittersweet.
Oh yeah.
But like in terms of being a movie that captures the experience of trying to figure yourself out and also feeling like you have it all figured out as a shithead 17-year-old boy.
The ignorance of youth.
There are
I think
few
they're
things
18
better.
or 19.
You know, it says 17, and I'm kind of inclined to believe it.
Yeah.
Because, fun fact, Cuarón's son was 17 when he was making this movie.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh.
And he made this movie kind of as like a, you know, I want to make a, you know, coming of age road trip movie that, you know, captures what it's like to be that age more so.
And it very much gets it right.
Yeah.
Like, just like the whole, again, the ignorance of youth, and also the fucking energy of it.
Yeah.
Too. Like, I remember being that full of energy. Like, it's almost exhausting to watch this movie now. Like, them in the grocery store just getting chips.
Yeah.
They're like tackling each other and shit like that. I'm like, wow.
I did that.
Yeah.
Frequently.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was very much like that as well.
Yeah, exactly. We all remember what it was like.
Yeah, I went, And then
We sound so
I
old
was
right
a
now.
horrendous 17-year-old.
Yeah, and then I went on a road trip with my cousin by marriage, and we had sex, and then I kissed my friend, and we never talked about it again.
There we go.
So, you know, I see a lot of myself in this movie.
I think this is your life story.
Yeah, so I guess to return briefly to the big topic of this episode,
Yes.
this movie takes place basically right around when the controlling party, the IRP, PRI?
PRI.
The PRI, the controlling party of Mexico, was just about to go out of power. So it's kind of fitting that you're telling...
Yeah, with El Presidente himself in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You don't see his face, but you see the back of his head.
But it's a story about both people and a country going through their adolescence.
This is very much a movie of Mexico.
Yeah, and
I love that.
well, literally, the fucking last names of the main characters. Like, Julia's last name is Cortez.
Right.
Julio's last name is Zapata. I don't remember what Tenoch's last name is, but I believe it's the last name of the first emperor of Mexico after Spain was ousted.
Iturbide.
Yeah.
Iturbide.
Yeah, so
I'm
like
probably
all
butchering that.
names that are significant to the history of Mexico.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that's some fucking thematic consistency that I enjoy.
Goddamn right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
okay.
Zapatista is the person who led the uprisings in the 90s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he was part of the Mexican Revolution way back, I thought, in like
but there's
the
like
20s.
specifically like a thing that happens that starts in like in 94, I think, actually.
Like a Zapatista party.
Yeah, like I know that Gael Garcia Bernal, like he like went to like one of like the rallies or something like that.
Okay,
in 94
interesting.
or something.
Nice.
So,
But I know the name comes from Emiliano Zapata.
Interesting.
Okay, so same question as last time.
Right.
What's your guys' relationship to this movie? Alexis?
I actually don't remember the first time I saw this movie, but I know that it had to have happened when I was around this age, like when I was having like my, oh my God, I love indie film and stuff, like coming out of like high school and stuff. Because I remember thinking like, oh my God, they're so cute. and the second time that I watched this movie was when I put it on for Michelle's class. And
Your
I had
record
to,
continues.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was putting on the movie.
Movies.
Yeah, I was putting on the movie and I was like, oh, I should stand up here and make sure that the
was the
sound's
movie.
on
Wow.
and that the subtitles are working. And I forgot how the movie like starts. And so I'm just literally standing there in front of like a bunch of 20-year-olds and then I'm just like staring at the screen and it opens on Diego Luna's like
ass.
young ass, youthful boot cheeks.
Absolutely
you know?
jackhammering his girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm standing there just like, okay, say something, so I can see that the subtitles are on, and it felt like forever. Now that I watched it this time, I'm like, it actually doesn't take that long, but it felt like forever.
yeah, for
And
sure.
then what does he say when he finally says something? Promise me you won't cheat on me with some Italian.
yeah.
Because anti-Italian discrimination crosses borders.
Takes the world over.
Making fun of Italians is universal. To our, less than 1% of our listeners from Italy. A mangia mangia. I give a good. Oh my God. It's a me.
But I mean, the sex scene, that's why I brought up that as a segue, because what makes this an interesting double feature is the sex scenes could not be any more different.
The sex scenes are so fucking fast-paced. Camera is handheld.
Yeah, it really does feel like these two actors are going at it, and the cameraman just got stuck in the room before he could get out. So he's like, "Well, fuck it, I might as well shoot it." It's just that visceral and raw and realistic, which, by the way, is so hilarious about this movie. Is how quickly, not to be crass, but how quickly these young boys...
The boys are busted. They bust.
It's so fast, and it gets funnier every time it happens.
Yeah, because... So, I would like to say that potentially my favorite performance in this movie is Maribel Verdú as Louisa.
From Pan's Labyrinth, speaking of which.
Yes,
I feel like I called her Julia earlier, and I'm going to hell for that. She is so fucking good in this movie.
Incredible.
And
she is so good.
She sells those moments because she, so essentially during this movie, these two boys meet her at Tenoch's cousin's wedding.
Right.
She's the cousin's wife. They kind of hit on her, invite her on this road trip to a beach that does not actually exist.
Because
Boca
they are...
del cielo.
Right.
Yeah, because
they are testosterone-filled
their
boys.
girlfriends have gone to Italy. They want to fuck this woman. Then she finds out that her husband is cheating on her and decides to go on a road trip with these boys. So, eventually ends up having sex with both of them. And in the sex scenes that she has with both of them like go in with gusto,
so fucking fast,
bust immediately, and then go, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
And she's like, it's okay, and is like, kind of, you can see on her face that she is frustrated and also like stifling a laugh.
Yeah, she's like, it's almost cute, like to her, like, oh wow,
it's adorable.
Yeah, exactly. These boys are young, dumb, and full of cum. God damn it, I love them.
Fucking literally.
Yeah, that's what they are. But okay,
literally.
So my turn. I've never seen this before.
I had not seen this before either.
So this was my first time. So that moment when we see her get that unfortunate phone call that she's been cheated on, was when I realized, that's the moment I realized where this movie was going, because I knew nothing about it. I knew absolutely nothing about it. They invite her to the beach, and you just get this tension, like, that'd be interesting to watch this happen. Because I was watching this whole movie thinking it was a queer film. Like, these two boys are gay. They're going to find that they're in love with each other.
Bisexual, buddy.
And that's the road trip movie, right?
Yeah.
No. So when she finds out, I was like, oh, shit. I cannot wait to see how this story unfolds. And it's so good. It's funny.
Oh my God.
It's heartfelt. It's tragic. It's because I didn't see the end coming.
No. So
by the way,
spoilers.
Not at all.
At the end of this movie,
big spoilers. Don't listen to this.
At the very end, at the end of their road trip, Tenoch, Luisa, and Julio have a threesome.
Yes.
Tenoch and Julio, who have been at odds because they find out that they both fucked each other's girlfriends, kiss while they're having this threesome. And then, are kind of weirded out by this.
They wake up nude,
run out of the bed, and, kind of fall out of touch. And there's an omniscient narrator that kind of gives you the context of what happens later. Very French New Wave.
I love the narrator.
But then the two of them meet up a year later at the end of the movie, and we find out that Louisa has died, that she had cancer
No.
while she was traveling
And that
with
she
them.
knew the whole time.
Yeah, and it totally contextualizes why she came on this road trip.
And it completely recontextualizes all the scenes where she's crying to herself.
Yeah.
Too. That was why it was so impactful for me. So I'm like, oh, she's struggling, like she's trying to still make sure her family or her loved ones or ex like still either has what they need, even though she's not there right now. She's feeling very emotional about it. But now I'm like, oh well, fuck. Like she was saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Like no fucking wonder this was so hard on her.
And of course, she wanted to go on a road trip with these young guys who are, just starting their lives.
Yeah, full of life.
Yeah.
And other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing that's like doubly tragic about her is that it's like clear that at the one moment that she's decided to take like agency of her life is the last moments that she's ever going to have, because she spent like all of her youth, like she was orphaned at 10, right? So she lost really early, and then she spent like most of the rest of her youth like taking care of her sick aunt, who I love this like little aside how they talk about how like the aunt was like pro Franco, who was the dictator in Spain. So it kind of like it shows you like exactly like what she was already having to kind of put up with, and it makes it very interesting that she herself is so progressive. And then also like it ties into the other movie that she's in, which is Pan's Labyrinth, which takes place during Franco's Spain. And so I don't know. And then it's like, she lost her boyfriend, her first boyfriend when she was a teenager to a motorcycle accident. And, and then even the next guy that she loved, like that she took care of, that she, because like as a woman, and especially in like a patriarchal society that like her Mexican husband comes from, she's expected to just, do whatever the fuck he wants, so she's literally always lived her life for everybody else. And the moment that she gets to live her life for herself is only because she realizes she's going to be fucking dying. So it's super fucking tragic.
It's really tragic. Yeah.
So
Although
not to be crass,
Please be crass.
but has anyone ever looked fucking sexier than when Louisa is slowly kind of drinking her shot of tequila and
dancing to the
towards,
camera.
Oh my god, and
making
dancing.
dead eye contact with the camera.
The fucking
Chill
handheld
ran
shot.
down my body.
Yeah, because
Oh my
also just her from behind
And she's
choosing
breaking the fourth
music,
wall.
coming
Oh, God.
over. Because also, not only is it sexy, but also I think that shot does a really good job. Like, you feel like you're fucking drunk on tequila. Like, watching that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just the camera movement, her glassy eyes, the way she's kind of moving her mouth a little
It's-
bit. It's just like, wow. It's
It's a
you
love
feel
song
like
that's
you're with
playing in
them.
the background.
Yeah.
As well. So, like the lyrics, I can't remember exactly what it was saying, but there's a love song that's playing in the background. And she's looking at you, directly at you,
Yeah.
breaking the
Yeah.
fourth wall.
And that's
It was
the only
very-
time in the
I
movie
love
that
the
happens.
choice.
Feeling feral.
Yeah. That was
Feeling like
can I-
Alexis. Feeling like
Perfectly.
Alexis talking
This-
about Adam Driver,
for
just
really.
losing it.
This movie is so well cast. It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so well cast.
Shout out to Diego Luna and Gail Garcia Bernal, because
Yeah.
they
They're
were,
incredible.
I believe, I think Diego Luna was 19 and Bernal was 21.
They
And
Yeah,
look
like
they're
young.
very young.
Difficult performances and also like vulnerable performances.
They're full
Again,
frontal
to
in
be
this.
Especially for
crass,
this
they're hanging
time.
dog.
Yeah.
Like there's still like obviously like like I'm Mexican, okay, so like I feel like I can like at
What?
least touch on this, like I can at least touch on this slightly, but like that there is a lot of machismo in the culture, and at this time this was a very risky thing to star in like, but funnily enough people loved this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like this movie did so well. Also
Yeah.
this was not anywhere near their first performances. They were child stars. Like
were they?
Okay.
They're basically like kind of nepo babies. Like their parents are all, I think Diego Luna's parents were like a costume designer or like a scenic designer or something, and then Gael's mother was an actress, and then his father was like a director. And so they were in telenovelas when they were younger.
Nepotism annoys me, but it doesn't annoy me with actors, because nepotism gives you opportunity, but it doesn't necessarily give you talent. And
I don't
Diego
know,
Luna
because
and
I'm okay.
Gael Garcia Bernal, they both have talent out the wazoo.
I'm more
Like,
okay with I'm more okay with actor nepotism because like
Yeah.
two hot people are going to make another hot person who I would like to see on screen.
Right. But it's also a talent.
It takes more than, you know, your dad being fucking John Landis to be a talented screenwriter. Max Landis.
I guess, I don't know. There's a lot of fucking colorism in Mexico. If you've ever seen any fucking like TV stations, the only fucking people that are on those like TV stations are white Mexicans. And a lot of times those are the only people that have any real money. Like, and that was why also I found Roma, that Cuarón also directed, to be so incredible, because like it featured an indigenous woman, which, you know, and I think that was the first time like an indigenous woman
role.
as the lead.
Yeah.
And she got a lot of fucking flack for that like movie, and her even being on like the cover of Vogue, because in Mexico it's still not considered beautiful to have like dark skin. And so I think that's why I'm like, the nepotism, it's feeling a little dirty because like, you know, they come from like white Mexican families, you know, and that grew up with money, and most of the time you literally can't rise any higher in Mexico unless you have money and you're not dark skinned pretty much. So
Right.
Yeah. Fair point.
yeah.
Touche, Alexis. Touche.
Well, so, I mean, there's a lot of fucking layers to this movie, the classism and everything.
Yeah.
Like Tenoch fucking comes from this like crazy class of wealth.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
Tenoch is literally like his dad is a corrupt government official who was like doing fucking import schemes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He vacations at Lake Tahoe,
Yeah,
and they
Right.
had to flee to Vancouver to hide
'Cause
out after the
Isn't
import
that what they
fraud.
talk about with Tenoch? Is like this was the second time he felt this like sharp pain in his stomach,
Yeah.
and the first time was when he saw pictures of his dad like corroborating like this whole scheme.
yeah.
Which
and he had
again,
to take off to Vancouver. yeah.
I know we've talked about it, but I gotta give a shout out. I love the narration in this film because it.
Yeah.
First of all, when you meet certain characters, then the sound just cuts out, and the narrator will just come in and provide some context and backstory that's not relevant at all to our hero's journey, but it gives you a glimpse of who these people are as people. Just like you get when you meet a human being in real life. When you meet someone at a party and so that you know comes to you and goes, oh, you know, they're dating this person and oh, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, now I feel like I know them a little bit more. Or at the very least, you're kind of classifying them a little bit.
Or you get context for like, you know, the rest of their life going forward, or
Yeah.
like what's happening in the country at large.
Like, I love the ending where the narrator goes, this would be the last time they ever see each other, and then cuts to their dialogue where they say, well, I'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
Like, that is so
Yeah.
powerful, where the narration completely contradicts the words, or when Gael Garcia Bernal basically admits that, you know, I fucked your girlfriend, and the narrator comes in like he's starting to only give half truths and spin it to be like the least offensive or the least harmful story, which
The
is so
horrible
real. It's
thing
so real.
About that scene is that, like, because obviously, like, you have Tenoch, who like goes off on Julio at that point, and then later on finds out that that Tenoch like also cheated with Julio's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, he's like, actually, you know what? Beg for my fucking forgiveness because you laid the fuck into me, you know? Because, like, Tenoch says some, like, very rude and hurtful things. He calls Julio an arravista, which is, like, a social climber, basically saying, like, you know, like, oh, you know, like, you get to be where you are because you're friends with me.
He pulls
and he also
social
calls
card. Boo.
Yes, and he calls him an anaco, which is like basically like saying that he's like poor, and also could be kind of like a derogatory like term for somebody who's like more dark skinned. Like, he just like really says some like shit that you're just like, dude, okay. You know, like, let he who is without sin cast the first stone kind of shit, because you also did the same thing, apparently.
For
we
real.
find out later.
In that vein of them like calling each other slurs, I also find it interesting how often they, you know, kind of drop the F slur around one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's protesting a bit too much, homies. You just gotta
For
kiss.
real.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Which-
you're
Dude,
already
I-
jacking off
she-
next to each other.
Yeah, Louisa kept saying like, "You guys just need to fuck."
Oh
Like,
my
You
God.
guys need to fuck, and then
Yeah.
we'll fuck.
Yes,
You guys
I
need to fuck
loved
first.
her.
After
for
they
that.
have their big blow up fight where she walks away from the car
Yeah.
and Julio kind of pushes her,
Yeah.
she has this big blow up that includes the line, "What's it matter if you fucked each other's girlfriends with how fast you came?"
Right. I
Fucking
laughed so
dunk.
hard.
But yeah, she's also
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
you two are like all men, possessing over the women in your lives when you really just want to fuck each other.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Cut them to the quick.
I love what she said. Loved it because growing up in a Mexican family, the way that men fucking talk about women, like even around other fucking women and just like the possessiveness, like seeing her say that on screen and knowing that like a large amount of the Mexican population has seen this movie and actually love this movie, I'm like, bravo, bringing the education to the masses.
Yeah.
Because it does. The homophobia that is in like machismo culture has always felt like thou doth protesteth too much.
Oh, for
you know?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hilarious. They're always fucking like they're always talking about each other's dicks too,
Yeah.
and like yours has a hood. They know exactly like what size each other's penises are.
Yeah. Like again, in the shower room.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Just go at it. Please. I want to see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I want it.
I know, for real.
The when they kiss at the end, it's so hot. I would like it on record that the only thing that I love more than two women kissing on screen is two men kissing on screen.
Yeah.
Oh, woo, God, that's my shit right there. Oh my God.
Listeners, I know this is not a visual medium, but just now Alexa's eyes popped out like a foot outside her head, and her tongue
unrolled
unfurled
like
onto
a
the
staircase.
floor.
Yeah.
That
no,
was
but she
very
kinda-
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, she turned into like a
Yes.
little tornado and she shot out of frame and steam came out of her ears. It was nuts. You had to be there.
But speaking of the kiss, I am reading it as so during the threesome at the end. Because again, we keep talking about them being with women. Like, how is this a queer film? Well, so bisexual. In the end, they're making out with each other, and then it cuts to them. Oh, I guess it doesn't cut. Now it's the next morning, and then we see them in bed naked. I am very much reading that as, it was more than just them making out. Like, that's what we saw, but what transpired, I'm choosing to believe, was everything and anything that you could possibly imagine. Probably went the amount of tequila that was had that night. I'm telling you, it was all bets were off.
I assume
what happened in that beach hut will.
I
stay in that beach
assume
hut.
that what happened is similar to the ending of the Lonely Islands music video, The Golden Rule.
Yes.
Which, as we all know, the song, it's not gay when it's in the three-way.
Yeah.
It's okay
Oh my
when
God.
it's in the... And then at the end of the music video, Andy Samberg and Justin Timberlake are in bed with Lady Gaga, and then she comes back into the room, and they realize that they're just in bed with each other.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's what happened.
So, I am choosing to believe, and I think they're insinuating that they fucking made love. They did.
Yeah. I don't know if I know in my heart that they actually had sex, but it is even just the idea that they like made out with such passion, I think is something so vulnerable.
Yeah.
That like with the way that their homophobia is, they could like never talk about it again.
It's the first... it's interesting, too, that we talk about their homophobia, because they also talk about their friend who's gay.
Who's gay,
Who
that
they're,
they
like-
don't hang out with anymore.
Yeah, but they make a point to be like, what? No, he's still our friend. He just doesn't want to hang out with us. He's hanging out with
Right.
different people, and some of that's probably bullshit. But it's interesting that in 2001, these two teenagers still want to be like, no, we're not homophobic. We still like him. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I found that kind of surprising in some ways.
Well, I mean, for the it's 2001. I mean, there is some progression with like the youth and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Just because like the culture is steeped a certain way doesn't mean that all of the youth like necessarily like believe all of it anymore. But I do think it's interesting that like at the very end they do talk about that friend, and they bring up the fact Tenoch says, "Oh yeah, that guy, his dad actually kicked him out of the house," and I think Julio's like, "Oh, that's terrible," you know. But then they like don't talk about it again, you know,
Well,
where it's.
I think Julio says that's terrible, and Tenoch is like, yeah, but he seems very happy. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like one of them is kind of trying to open the door to that conversation about what happened between the two of them.
I like how many like the whole My Own Private Idaho ties into this so well, because you have a character like Tenoch who at the very beginning of the film, he's very much like, I want to be a writer. I don't want to study economy, even though my dad wants me to study economy. Like, he wants me to be just like him. But then you see at the very end, he slipped right into that role.
Yeah, he's studying economics.
Yeah, he's studying economics, you know, and Julio's also going to school. I don't know, it's a interesting tie-in that you have, like, that really sells the classism that both directors kind of touch on, which is that the people at the top many times will just fall back into line when they're done having their fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I really found that very interesting, because when I was growing up and in high school, I was doing a lot of raves, doing a lot of, extracurricular activities that might be a little illegal.
It's talking about drugs.
And I did end up having like friends that ended up addicted to like heroin or meth, or that died and things like that, and a lot of times the kids that ended up making it out of that, either they had like a really good support from their friends, or they had their parents had money.
Exactly.
Most of the kids that made it out of that lifestyle, their parents were able to like help them out, like help them get out of that. So I think when I watch these movies, it makes me like doubly sad, because like I know how real it is that like the kids that are at the top will just fall back on what they had, and kind of the same with me, because like I'm not dirt poor or anything, but I am like lower middle class,
Right. Yeah, I mean, another little glimpse of class that I thought made me feel a little melancholy was at the end of the movie, that lovely family that took them out on the little fishing boat, where there's this new resort coming in, and after it's put in and takes all this beautiful land, by the way, this capitalist endeavor.
Yeah, Chili, the guy who takes them out on the boat.
He becomes a janitor.
Yeah.
And he would never fish again.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Yeah.
So it's just erosion of these wonderful things caused by capitalism. Yeah, it's sad. And that's Roma plays into that too. I fucking got to give a shout out to Alfonso Cuarón, man. Good director.
Yeah.
Honestly,
really
watching this movie, especially the sex scenes, I'm like, oh, no wonder this guy did Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah. I still think that my favorite of his is probably, he did Children of Men, right?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Children of Men
really
is Children of God.
Children of Men
is
a fucking incredible
That's
movie.
with Clive Owen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
Watch Children of Men.
That's one of those masterpieces from the 2000s, right?
Yeah, that's a great fucking
2006, movie. I think.
Yes.
Wow.
On a lighter note, I just want to say that when they're doing their toasts at the end of the movie, when they're all Louisa
to the clitoris.
So
I love that so much. It's one of my favorite lines.
They toast to jerking off, and Louisa goes, "No, do not toast." And then Julio and Tenoch go, "See."
Yes.
And that is the closest moment that we have gotten in any movie that we have covered so far to boys.
Yeah.
It's the same energy.
It's the same thing.
energy. Actually,
that's what our subtitles read, was just boys.
I have a story about that scene.
Oh, please do tell.
Tell us your tale.
Yarn.
Hey, okay. So apparently, like, you know, Cuarón wanted it to be like as real as possible. So I think they went out and for like 2 days they kind of like blocked the scene. And they got drunk. He like had them actually get like fucking like shmammered, right? And then on the third day, they came in. They're like, "All right, so now we're gonna do the scene. Now we kind of know like what it is that we want to do."
Right.
And so it was kind of it. So it feels really improv, you know. And that's because like they spent so much time kind of like exploring like how would it go if we really were drunk.
They rehearsed the scene
yeah.
and then rehearsed it drunk and then did the thing.
Fuck yeah.
That's great.
No. They like spent like 2 days like being like
yeah, they did the
drinking.
scene drunk for a few days and then did it for real.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah, like well, like them hanging out, you know, and like kind of not like even rehearsing the scene, but kind of like making the scene itself, you know. Do you get what I mean? Like kind of.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
I love that the men that are in the corner, like. Yeah. So I listen.
I keep
to this
looking
podcast.
at the table too.
I listen to this podcast, movies that made us gay, and the girl who was on it, she was actually like that was the guest on it. She was born in Mexico and like had like immigrated like to the U.S. like in her like I don't know like middle school years or something, and she was like, it's so funny that these men in the background like literally like never respond to anything that they're saying, like they're just like they're just there, you know, and like they probably were paid like some pesos, like just they're probably men from the pueblo that were just like there to be there.
Those are not background extras. You know? Those are just people that live in there. Yeah. No, when they kept doing salutes to like the clitoris and to jerking off, I kept going to that back table like, are they not responding to this? Because at a certain point, I would have turned around and I would have chimed in. I would have started cheering along with them.
Well, you can hear Choi doing it from over there.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like all the other men are just like the fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that shit's hella funny.
I really enjoyed this picture.
Yeah,
it was damn good. It makes me want to watch Motorcycle Diaries, because that's also with Gael Garcia Bernal, right? Isn't it?
Is it?
I have not seen that before.
I think
so
that's
I don't
a road
know.
trip movie with him.
Let's see.
And if I'm completely off base, well then I guess I'm just completely wrong. But still,
Oh yeah, yep.
This is it was just such a good time. Still not sure how I feel about his hair though.
Rough hair on him in this one.
That's a rough hair on
It's a rough haircut.
Who, Gael?
Gael.
That's
He's
not
got
working
a
for me.
fucking.
I love him in his little bandanas and his tiny
Yeah,
shorts.
that works because it makes him look
Yeah.
lesbian.
Yeah, the bandana helps, but when he doesn't. All right.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
But yeah, when he doesn't have that bandana on, that's a fucking rough
Yeah,
haircut.
he looks so good. I was a little like, I didn't know how to feel about the beginning scene because like I remember the first movie I ever saw Diego Luna in was Dirty Dancing Havana Nights that came out in like 2006. So, and I love that movie. I've seen that movie so many times because
same.
I love Diego Luna and I love dancing just like you, Mick. And and so like he was like in his like mid to late 20s when he did that movie, you know? And then like you go back to seeing him at like 2021 and I'm just like, oh no, he looks like a child. I'm looking at a child's butt.
And he looks like one,
he's
too.
a baby. He's a baby.
Go to prison, Mick! Go to prison!
I'm already there, buddy. I'm already there.
You straight to jail.
Straight to
Also,
jail with
like,
you motherfucker!
I wish I remembered how I responded to them the first time that I saw this movie, because when I saw them roll up to Luisa for the first time, all I could say was, pinche perros. Like you could just see their fucking like tail like thumping,
No, for real.
you know, just
They're
like
puppies.
right behind her.
Yeah.
They
They're
really
like
are
little
excited
puppy dogs,
puppies.
Yeah,
And they go.
They're playing with their new toy.
I think that at one point Luis even calls them dogs. Like
Yeah.
they're fighting like dogs. Because it's like
Speaking of
of
dogs.
which, it's Diego Luna himself.
It's my pinche perro.
Oh my god. Well. Sweet Jesus.
Again. Listeners, one of our hosts does live at a dog kennel right now.
Yeah, that is true.
But she volunteers there.
Yeah,
She's not doing it for the
okay.
game.
No, she's doing it for love of the game.
She's doing it for love of it. She loves the game.
Another line that Luisa says is like, hang out with babies and you have to change their diapers.
Yeah, that's a good one. Solid dunk.
That's
Good
true.
burn.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we have
Yeah,
anything else?
I also love that. I love that Luisa kind of believes in like the three deaths. If anybody's seen Coco, there's like
you showed it to me.
3 deaths in like Mexican culture where it's like first you die and then you're buried, and then the last time that you die is when the last person who remembers you also dies.
Remember me. Also, Gael Garcia Bernal.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Zach, you should watch
that
Coco.
movie.
It's beautiful. You should watch it on my
Great.
It's
gorgeous
so good. I
OLED
fucking
television.
love Coco.
awesome. Yeah, good plug. I'll
It's made by Sony.
okay. I'll double feature that with when I watch Finding Nemo.
I really did enjoy Coco. Out of all the...
It's so good.
Yeah. Right up
I
there.
used to watch it all the time in college when I was missing my family, and it would like make me cry every time.
But you're saying Luisa believes in the 3 deaths.
Yes.
Yeah, so like that interaction that she had with the 98-year-old woman kind of like on the side of the road in one of the pueblos, she gives her this little, they show what she has, and it looks like a little ofrenda almost, but I'm not sure if it was just like things that were special to that
What's
woman
an
or
ofrenda?
not. An ofrenda is like, so like in Coco, you'll put like all your pictures of like your different family members on it, like after they die.
It's like a
so that
shrine?
you can celebrate. Kind of like so that you can every year on like Day of the Dead, supposedly they come back and they visit their family and all the family is together again, and you have their picture there so that they kind of like know where to come back to, and if you don't have the picture up, they can't come back basically.
Gotcha.
So it's like very important to keep their memory alive essentially, and so then also it's like about the culture of keeping that person's memory alive, and
And
family.
does that kind of figure?
Family's very important.
Does that kind of figure in with her giving away the toy with her name on it?
Yeah, so then it's like the little girl who was the great-granddaughter of this 90-year-old woman. She was killed when she was crossing the Arizona desert with her family, like trying to go for a better life. And so it's like she passes on that kind of like little knowledge about her granddaughter to Luisa because they share the same name.
Well, and then Luisa passes that on in turn because before she dies, she gives that to Choi's daughter.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's this beautiful little connection.
Yeah.
This little toy that comes through the movie.
This movie kind of really plays to the fact that we're surrounded by stories that we either see or we are just kind of choosing to ignore. And I think a good example of that for me, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and again, it has nothing to do with the main journey, but they're on the road trip, they're going around, and it says like, had they been here 10 years earlier, they would have come across a road with blood on it.
Yeah.
Broken eggs and
Chicken feathers and chickens dying.
And then they would have gone further. There would have been a truck on its side. There would have been a guy in blood. And as this is going on, I'm like, well, this is sad. Why are we being told this? And all in the same shot, because it doesn't cut at all, because it's a Manuel Lubezki film, so he's just shooting this. And right when the narrator finishes that sentence, we come across these crosses that are on the side of the road. Of like, and I go, oh shit, okay. And in that moment, I'm just reminded of how many times I've driven down a road and I see crosses on the side of the road, and I think like, oh, this must be a dangerous area, or I don't think anything of it. But it's just there's stories all around us, and there's sadness and tragedy all around us, pain. And I just thought that was just such a powerful storytelling technique that they employ here. So good. Yeah.
And also, like, right after that, they pass by a school, so you can imagine that there was probably just a child trying to walk home from school that got hit, you know. Another thing is that, like, the very beginning of the movie, Tenoch and Julio, like, they pass by this guy who dies on the freeway, and they're talking about
who he gets hit by a taxi. Yeah.
He gets hit by a taxi, and apparently, like, in order to safely get to where he works, he would have to go like 1.5 miles out of the way. So he just, every day, he just takes a chance on running across the freeway, apparently.
Yeah.
And this time he got hit.
Yeah.
And, that's just kind of like how the layout of Mexico City kind of is, actually.
And also, before that, our two characters are talking about, it's probably these fucking protesters that's causing this traffic. God damn it. oh, well, they have a right to protest. And then the other guy, he's like, well, yeah, I have a right to fucking get where I need to fucking go.
Get where I want to go.
I have a right. And then they come across the dead body on the road from the guy that hit by a taxi. That's what's causing this traffic. And it's just so fucking good. Great movie.
It really does, like, even highlight the fact that, like, obviously we know that Tenoch has, like, some sort of, like, privilege, you know? But despite Julio not coming from money, like, they both, because they're so young, you know, they coast through life, like, not really paying attention truly to, like, what's going on around them.
Again,
like,
there's
another
ignorant.
scene. Yeah, there's a scene, like, later on in the movie where they're passing through, like, a pueblo or something like that, and, like, there's people selling things, like, out of baskets on the side of the road, and the cops roll up on them, and then, like, start harassing the fuck out of them, which is something that happened, like, genuinely, like, these are all these scenes that are in the movie are things that have genuinely, like, happened before in Mexico.
Which is great. It's great seeing a Mexican story, like, speak to these truths, and it's done by a Mexican writer-director. So the authorship totally works. And
Who is now, I believe, a 2-time Academy Award-winning director.
2?
I think so.
Wow.
Because I think
he won Best Director on Roma.
And he won for Gravity, so he has won twice.
Oh, that's right. He did Gravity.
Okay.
Well, they can't all be winners.
It's fine.
Yeah. One of my favorite things in the movie that ties into Roma is when they're passing by this little pueblo that they don't stop in, but, like, you can see Tenoch in the back seat, and he's kind of, like, all of a sudden he's really antsy, and it's because they're passing by the town that his nanny is from.
Right.
And it says that,
exactly like Roma. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says, and this is very, like, this is, like, it's like a little prelude almost to Roma, because, like, that's actually, like, Cuarón was, you know, a little, he came from a little money, and he had a nanny who took care of him, and in the movie, Tenoch is revealed to have had a nanny as well. Yeah. You know, very typical. It's very typical of very, like, families with wealth to have indigenous women from the pueblos, like outside of the city, come in and take care of their children. Yeah. And a lot of times these kids, like, view those women as, like, being their mothers. And it even says that in the movie that, like, Tenoch called her mommy up until he was like 4 years old.
Yeah. I believe Alfonso Cuarón dedicated Roma to his nanny growing up. And he said, like, this is all nannies in Mexico. This is for you. Like, I know we're not talking about Roma, but still, the scene in Roma where that whole world exists on top of the rooftops of all these wealthy houses, where you have this own, like, subculture of nannies on all these different roofs, drying clothes from the clothespins and stuff like that. It's just so fascinating. I should watch that movie again.
Let me know when you're watching it. I'll watch it for the first time.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Y tu mamá también, bravo.
Wonderful movie.
Bravo to both.
Yeah.
I was more entertained with Y tu mamá también, but still, they're both fantastic pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good picks, Zach.
Thank you.
Edwin and Salvador. And
with that, we have come to the end of Queer Cinema Month.
Okay. Let's before we get excited.
Let's do a little debrief.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get excited for what's coming up next, I want to applaud ourselves.
I'm always down for that. I'm always fucking down for that.
No, why I want to applaud ourselves.
Please contextualize that.
Is because we're just so great.
Yeah.
And so we did basically, I was talking to Zach about this. What I really loved about Pride Month in regards to the film majors is that this was like independent cinema month.
Yeah.
We all the pictures that we chose, I thought were pitch perfect. I think we all, and the suggestions that we got from fans, ones that we picked, there wasn't a bum in the lot. And they're all really, really great, but also kind of speaks to the fact that queer stories, in order to get to them, are only really done in the world of filmmaking where they don't get a lot of financing. And
particularly queer stories from queer directors, because other than Y tu mamá también, all of our films we covered,
that's correct,
were directed by members of the queer community.
Does that include Paris is Burning?
Yes,
Yes.
she's
a lesbian.
Oh, okay, good.
She's a lesbian.
Okay. I think I really enjoyed this. Like in the end, in retrospect, these were fantastic movies, and I loved watching them and talking about them with y'all.
That we slayed. We did.
I'll agree. I'll sign off on that.
I will third that. We slayed. We slayed. It was great. You know, I'm really glad that we chose to do a Pride Month.
Well, and the other thing that I think was so great about this month, featuring so many movies that people might not have seen,
right,
is that it came right after Boat Month,
which is just, yeah,
you know, many sort of bigger studio films.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's coming right before.
Oh, wait, do the fans not know what's coming next?
They don't, and it's time for it to be announced.
I think we should tell them what's coming up next.
Next month.
Can we put like a punching sound in here somewhere?
Yeah,
because we're about to cover some
explosions,
blockbusters.
It's blockbuster month, baby.
Folks.
We're deep in the summer.
It's
going to be July. It's summer movie season.
It's hot out.
It's blockbuster fucking time.
Let's go all together, folks. Let's just go to a cinema where it's AC cooled, it's dark inside. Let's watch a fucking blockbuster.
Shovel some fucking popcorn into your mouth.
Oh my God.
It's about to hit the 3 digits in fucking Fresno for like a minute. So I'm like, please send me to the theater.
Oh, and we will do that, folks, because
we are starting with what is, for my money, the archetypal blockbuster. If you want a movie that completely sums up what American blockbuster filmmaking can be at its height, at its fucking peak.
We're starting with the seminal blockbuster. And by the way, folks, this film was an event. Like, so those of you that are, you know, maybe too young to remember this, but the movie that we're going to talk about actually like created a movement.
You would all be dead if it wasn't for this movie.
That's right. Folks, buckle up and welcome to Earth, because our next movie is Roland Emmerich's 1996 Independence Day.
Stars Will Smith. It stars Jeff Goldblum. It stars Bill Pullman. It stars Vivica A. Fox. And it stars motherfucking Judd Hirsch. And Randy Quaid.
Oh, my God. That's so good. I can't wait.
I cannot wait.
I can't wait to watch this for the 80th time.
This is a fucking Harris household VHS fucking staple.
Goddamn right. Alexis, you're quiet in the dark.
I've not seen all of this movie. I don't even remember the part that I have seen.
Well,
because
then
I think I was holding somebody's hand, and then I left to hit it and quit it. So
that's right. I know exactly who it was. I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but I was there that night when this happened.
Hell yeah.
So I wasn't paying attention to the movie for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see it this time.
You know what? This time you're going to see it sober. You're gonna see it's going to be
great.
Have to. Well, you don't have to,
to,
but you should. You should watch it sober and then watch it drunk. That's great. That's what we're gonna do.
It sure is.
It's so good. Well, we can wax poetic about it on the next episode.
Everyone, we can't wait to talk to you about this movie. And if you want to find Independence Day, you can find it on, you could rent it on basically any streaming service, YouTube, Prime.
Yeah.
If you have Stars, if you're a freak who has Stars, it's on Stars. And you can also find it on our shelf.
You can find it on our fucking shelf.
And if you want to find us, the Film Majors, on social media, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Film Majors Pod. And if you want to shoot us an email, tell us what you thought. Well, if you want to tell us what you thought about Queer Cinema Month and what blockbusters you might like us to discuss. Here's a hint. We're still trying to select one from the 2010s, and we haven't come up with a definitive pick. So let us know your thoughts. Send us an email at filmmagerspod@gmail.com.
Oh, this is a side note. I thought I had a pick for the 2010s, but
you do?
You do?
Then never mind. Don't fucking send us a pick.
Wasn't that what you asked me? And I sent you like a voicemail or like a audio note, and then you were like, "Yeah, that's what it's gonna be."
I think we changed our mind.
I don't know that we did. We'll discuss this once we stop recording.
As long as it's unstoppable, then we're
don't
down.
send us an email. We take it back. Send us an email about something else.
Yeah, Alexis is picking week 4, folks.
Yeah.
It's you get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the
I
fuck
literally
out.
didn't have any say on anything else, so yeah, I feel like I should get at least
That's
one
fair.
dick.
Yeah, that's yeah,
fair.
good call. All right. Well, everyone, we hope that you enjoyed this episode.
I did.
This month, and we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
Yeah. See you next time. See you on the 4th of July.